I'm Mike Jackson. I'll give you the news behind the headlines on News Center 5.
It's been a week of big baseball headlines with performances on the field and surprises off the field. Ron Davis came out of the Yankee bullpen to tie a record by fanning 8 straight. Meanwhile, the magic of Fernando Valenzuela continues. Last night, he wove that magic in New York and turned back the Mets with another shutout. Meanwhile, off the field, Maury Wills becomes the first casualty in the managing corps, and Harry Dalton is slapped with a $50,000 fine. We'll take a look as we prepare for baseball on this Saturday. NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball, an inside look at baseball and a preview of today's games of the week. Brought to you by Old Spice, the man scent so many women love. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. It's been sprinkling most of the day in Cincinnati, but the dark clouds have opened up a little bit to allow the sunshine to come through. The crowd late in arriving, but we're expecting over 30,000 to witness today's game at Riverfront, matching the Reds against the Houston Astros. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Bryant Gumble. Welcome to baseball on NBC. 2 very good games on tap. This one in Cincinnati has the Reds going against the Astros. Our other comes to you north of the border from Montreal, where the Expos host the Giants. We think we've got a good show on tap. We're going to take a look at the rookies in the Major League, some of the outstanding ones, and we're going to have a look at the outstanding rookie in baseball. He is Fernando Valenzuela. He wove his magic last night in New York. We're also going to talk about baseball's gag rule, but let's turn our attention to managers because they are in the news. Jim Fregosi was given the warning by the Angels this week that if he doesn't shape out, he'll be gone. Gone is exactly what Maury Wills is. Hired last year to manage the Mariners, he will not last out the season. After a 6-18 start, Maury Wills was told goodbye because not only were the Mariners playing inept baseball, but as one of his coaches said, Maury had lost the respect of his players. And so the ex-Dodger is out, and in is Rene Lashman. Rene coming in now at 36, the youngest manager in the major leagues. His debut a success when the Mariners turned back the Milwaukee Brewers by a final score of 12-1, thereby saving Mike Parrott from setting a new American League record. He had lost 18 straight dating back to opening day of 1980. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers continue to have their problems. Cecil Cooper is sidelined. Ted Simmons has some physical problems. Now Robin Yount has a knee problem. And that man you see stroking the double right there, Paul Molitor, injured his ankle. Best guess is he will be out for at least 8 weeks. Meanwhile, the madness continues from the stands. Bush Memorial Stadium the other night in St. Louis, a very ugly incident. Eddie Miller, rookie left fielder for the Atlanta Braves, struck by a thrown object thrown by some idiot from out of the stands. Miller was able to remain in the ball game, and then at a dramatic conclusion, George Hendrick trying to put the ball game out of reach. Miller goes up on the wall, and he comes away with justice. Camp comes away with a save. Take that. Meanwhile, it continues to be rave reviews for Ron Davis. Goose Gossage is the ace out of the Yankee bullpen, but how about Davis? He came out in Anaheim last week, struck out 8 straight, thereby tying American League record for consecutive strikeouts. Bert Blyleven came within an inning of a no-hitter. He went in the 9th with one, but watch this. Lloyd Mosby hits one to left center. Larry Littleton in for defensive purposes. Stick a fork in it, Larry. It was called a double. It was ruled a hit. Hardly mattered because the next batter got a hit. Blyleven wound up with a 2-hitter. Meanwhile, Harry Dalton made the biggest news when it was reported that he was fined $50,000 by an owner relations committee for speaking his piece about the ongoing negotiations between the Players Association and management. Up until today, we had not been able to confirm the existence of that fine, but this morning we were able to confirm that indeed Harry Dalton was fined $50,000 by an owners committee. So there are a couple of facts that have to come about from this. Number one, the committee does exist. The committee is empowered to talk for the management council, is empowered to find those people in the front office who may express an opinion about the ongoing negotiations. That leads to the second point. While a number of people have talked about freedom of speech and have said that baseball is trying to limit that, I think it worth noting that baseball does indeed have a right to ask its people to speak with one vote, with one voice rather, and to say that by keeping those people silent, it helps the ongoing negotiations. That leads to the third point. Now that Harry Dalton has spoken out, you wonder just how united the the owners, the other front office people might be in their fight against the Players Association. And that, of course, leads to the fourth point, which is that if Dalton spoke out like that, will his cause not become a rallying point for some other people who might be thinking the same way? Indeed, it gets a little more confusing each day as we approach that May 29th deadline, with the possibility of a baseball strike looming larger and larger as each day passes. But let's turn our attention to the fans, because in addition to the players and the front office people, it is the fans who have the most to lose. The issues are confusing, and not all the fans know all the issues. But during spring training, we got to go around to many of the sites in Florida, ask the fans if they had to take a side, whose side would they be on?
I think I'll be sympathetic to management.
I really don't feel that the players have, you know, a real legitimate gripe. Now, if they do, I haven't heard it.
Maybe the management, because the players do make a lot of money for what they really have to do.
I gotta be for the management, because the players are too greedy, right down the line.
I think the ball players are making too much money, number one. We can't afford to pay it anymore. I mean, someone's got to pay them salaries sooner or later.
I wouldn't even mind sitting out a whole baseball season just to see management win this issue.
Well, actually, I'm for the players. I feel I'm for the players.
The players, you know, they've been given their rights, and now the owners are spending their money like crazy. And now they want the players to stop the owners from spending their own money, which I think is ridiculous. And
I'm for the players because the owners are ruining it. They're the ones that are letting them, you know, when they had the free agents, they don't have to give them all the money. If they want to give them the money, let them have the money. But if they don't want to give them the money, don't force the men to be slaves.
I'm on the fan side. I think they should play baseball. I think they should be able to settle their dispute and give us a game.
I'm not going to be on anybody's side. I think that the players have a right to get what they can get, and I think the owners have a right to make as much money as they can. So it's a bargaining process that I think has to run its course. That's the American way.
What do you think?
And so the issue is compensation, the argument's confusing, the war, well, no winners, an awful lot of losers. The key date, May 29th. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we'll talk about happier times, the new kids in town, a look at the rookies. We'll get to that right after this. One of the most exciting aspects of any new baseball season is the injection of new blood into a ball club by rookies. At present, there are 30 rookies in the National League, 33 in the American League, and some of them are simply outstanding. Let's take a look at some of the better ones. Gene Nelson. He has the distinction of being the youngest player in the major leagues. Birth date, December 3rd, 1960, and pitching in the major leagues. He won his debut on Monday. Ron Davis got the save. Gene Nelson beat the Yankees. The oldest rookie, beat the Angels. The oldest rookie in the major leagues, that distinction goes to Marshall Edwards, left-handed outfielder of the Milwaukee Brewers, born August 27th, 1952. That was his first major league hit. It came against the Toronto Blue Jays. Marty Bystrom, still a rookie, although he has already pitched in the World Series and become a hero. A person known to a lot of people, 5-0 last year, but not enough days to disqualify him from being a rookie. And then there is Max Shooty Babbitt. He's a second baseman for the Oakland A's, helping Billy Martin work the miracles despite being a walk-on in the Oakland camp.
I never, felt that I would be here this early in the big leagues. I went to spring training as a non-roster player. I got a chance to play. Fortunately, I was pretty impressive toward Billy, and he took a chance to take me along his ball club.
Of the everyday players, the hottest is Tim Raines. He's the man they called up, hoping to replace Ron LaFleur at the front of their lineup, give him some speed and some hitting. Raines has given them that and more. He's been hitting since opening day, well over 340. He leads the major league in stolen bases. He has stolen 26. They say he's going, but you can't stop him. He has only been stopped once so far this year. He stole 4 last night. But purely the most sensational rookie in the major leagues this year is that young man, 20-year-old Fernando Valenzuela, who has come out of Mexico simply to spin magic across the major leagues. He has won 7 ball games. He has 5 shutouts. He has a minuscule ERA, and even though he can't speak English, he gets understood.
He said he loves the Dodgers very much. He can't wait till he gets out. He loves beautiful Dodger Stadium. He thinks the Dodgers are the greatest organization in baseball. He said he loves to play for Tom Lasorda. He said Tom Lasorda is the finest manager he's ever played.
That's English with a Lasorda interpretation. The words may be a little different, but Fernando's thoughts are the same. Last night, Fernando pitched in New York against the Mets. It was another shutout. We're going to take a look at young Fernando Valenzuela's first trip to Broadway. Viva Valenzuela! right after this.
UCLA becomes the battleground for the high hurdles as Ronaldo Nehemiah and rival Greg Foster square off. Then rubber burns and engines roar in the NHRA World Finals of Drag Racing, plus the AIAW Women's Collegiate Swimming Championships tomorrow.
In his hit song, New York, New York, Frank Sinatra makes the point of that beautiful city that if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And so last night was one very big night in the life of Fernando Valenzuela. His first appearance in New York City, he passed the test with flying colors. Last night, he continued to carve out a master project. Same kind of master projects he has been doing since the season opened. No rookie has ever begun his career like this. Not Mark Fittrich, not Vida Blue, not even Joe Hardy of Damn Yankees fan. Fernando Valenzuela beat the Mets 1-0 for his 7th straight win and his 5th shutout. He's been drawing huge audiences wherever he pitches. Last night, he played to almost 40,000.
Everybody wants to see him. They're flocking out to the ballparks. Everybody all over. He pitched in Montreal last Sunday, 46,000.
50,000 fans saw Fernando on opening day in LA. That's to be expected, but he also drew good crowds on the road in San Francisco and San Diego and Houston. And you know what that translates into? It means more walks to the bank. Crowds mean money. Last night, there were an estimated 6,500 cars in the parking lot. That's compared to a normal amount of 2,500, 4,000 more. And that adds up to $11,000 in added parking revenue. Ticket sales on an average night at Shea bring in 62,000. Last night, those sales totaled an estimated 219,000. That's roughly 157,000 chalked up to Fernando.
It's a quadrupling of what the normal business has been for the last few nights. And there's no question, man, we have people coming in tonight who have not been out to have dinner at Shea Stadium in years.
When the crowds pour in, all the vendors at the stadium stand to profit. It is estimated that each fan spends about $5 on hot dogs, on liquid refreshment, other souvenirs. That figures out last night at Shea to an additional $142,000 that was taken in.
Tonight's crowd is exceptionally well. We've had at least 10 times the amount that we've had this past week.
Obviously, all the extra fans can't be credited to the 20-year-old pitcher. The Dodgers draw better than most visitors to Shea Stadium, but there was little doubt that young Fernando was the center of attention. So add it up. Fernando Valenzuela pitching at Shea Stadium, the difference, $157,000 in added ticket revenue, $142,000 in added vendor revenue, $11,000 in added parking revenue, total for the night. Fernando Valenzuela, 1-0 over the Mets. For the Mets, $310,000 extra in the till. And meanwhile, his numbers of his own continue to drop. Fernando now is 7-0. His ERA is now a minuscule 0.29 and falling. We've got baseball to come on NBC. It's the Expos and the Giants, the Reds and the Astros. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's pregame was produced by David Stern and directed by Harry Coyle. Our feature producer was Les Dennis, and our associate director, John J. Filippelli. Coming up, it's the Giants and the Expos. Great pitching matchup. Vida Blue against Steve Rogers. Here are the Astros and the Reds. Joaquin Andujar against Bruce Berenyi. I'm Bryant Gumble. Thanks for joining us in the pregame show. Now stay tuned for baseball on NBC.
Saturday, it's Barbara Mandrell and the Mandrell sisters with special guest Jerry Reed. Then, BJ nails Grant in a $2 million hustle.
I got to get out of here.
And on Walking Tall, Buford falls in love with a beautiful woman, but will his job threaten her life? An evening of variety and action Saturday on NBC.
Troubled Waters, Monday at 10 on Chicago's News Center, Channel 5.
Hi, I'm Joe Necro. I think we're going to win our division this year as we did last year because of our pitching staff. To me, we got one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, and just an indication is Joaquin Andujar, who's pitching today's game against the Cincinnati Reds. He is our 5th starter and spot starter, and he's pitched very well since Vern Rule had a back spasm and has been injured. Stay tuned today for the game of the week between the Cincinnati Reds and the Houston Astros.
NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Riverfront Stadium, the Houston Astros against the Cincinnati Reds. The game of the week is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the EXP, America's new personal sports coupe. And by Lowenbrow. When you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrow. And by Gillette, makers of Right Guard. A man works hard, but Right Guard works harder. Now there's hard-working Right Guard Solid 2. And by Dutch Master Cigars. There really are masters at Dutch Masters. It's a cloudy day in Cincinnati. We've had a slight drizzle. Neither ball club took batting practice, but we will have baseball this afternoon here at Riverfront Stadium. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Garagiola, and alongside me, as always, Tony Kubek, as we get ready for this game between the Astros and the Cincinnati Reds. Tony, first the Astros. They got off to a slow start. They seem to have straightened out, but they don't have the speed they had last year. And last year, they went right to the last day before they clinched the division.
Joe, they've had a good road trip, and it's good for them to be able to win on the road. But you're right. Their pitching staff is better, which is their strong suit. They've got Nepper and, of course, Don Sutton. They improve in that department. But Cedeno's been hurt. Caballo's not here. He's been traded. Morgan is not here. Cedeno's going to try and play today, but he is not running well. And Jose Cruz has a bad knee. So that one ingredient they had last year that generated a lot of innings and a lot of runs, base stealing, is not here this year for Houston.
You think it will hurt them that much?
I think ultimately it could, because they've really got to scratch for runs, and they need the speed and take the extra base and force mistakes, which they cannot do as much of this year.
Let's jump to the other side of the field, the Cincinnati Reds. Johnny Bench wanted to play 2 days a week. He's playing first base because Dreesen is hurt, but the big man still is George Foster.
Foster's got a hit. Guys like Collins are getting on. Concepcion is still driving and runs. Oster is hitting well. Foster's got to be the run producer for them. Bench has got to hit also, and Johnny is playing first base well, but he's still not swinging the bat well.
Can they win with Bench not behind the plate?
I think if their young pitching staff comes through, yes, they can. I think the young pitching is going to be very important for Cincinnati.
Well, we'll see. It'll be Berenyi for Cincinnati, a young pitcher. Andujar for Houston. We'll have plenty of baseball for you this afternoon.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Hi, this is Dave Smith of the Houston Astros, and this is our lineup for today. Leading off is Terry Poole. Got 3 hits yesterday, swinging a real hot bat. Batting second is Craig Bimbo Reynolds, slick fielding shortstop. Batting third is Cesar Cedeno. He's been hurt for about a week, and it's good to have him back in the lineup again. Batting fourth and cleanup is Jose Cheo Chop Chop Cruz. And I'll turn it over to Joe Sambito.
Batting fifth for us, Danny Heap, a fine young hitter. Batting sixth, man I think has the same hairstylist as Joe Garagiola, Art Howe. Batting seventh, the master of smash, Alan Ashby. Batting eighth, young man we acquired from the California Angels for Kent Force, Dickie Thon. And batting ninth, one of the most colorful men in baseball, Joaquin, Mr. Cool, What I Do, Andujar. And I'd like to wish a very happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and a very special happy birthday to my mother in New York.
Here's the defense for Cincinnati behind Berenyi. George Foster in left, Ken Griffey in center, Dave Collins in right. That's the change during this past offseason. Griffey moving to center field. Ray Knight at third, Dave Concepcion at short. Ron Oster swinging a good bat at second base. And look at the man at first base, JB Johnny Bench, who's playing well defensively. Joe Nolan behind the plate, and Bruce Berenyi, another one of these young pitchers, Joe, for Cincinnati.
Berenyi is averaging 4.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. 1980 struck out an average of 6. There's his record as you see it. He's a hard thrower. He led the American Association in strikeouts last season, 121 strikeouts and 123 innings pitched. So
I think a key for him, Joe, and in the stats of his minor league record in Indianapolis, he also walked 100 in that season. Billy Fisher, the pitching coach, uses the veteran Tom Seaver a lot with these young pitchers. Berenyi with a live fastball, but it was Seaver 2 years ago who talked to Frank Pastore and said, listen, you're too much of a gentleman. Be more of an animal when you're on the mound. He has given the same speech to Berenyi, who they say is a little bit mild-mannered, even for his size. So he wants him to go out there and take charge. If he does, his arm will carry him the rest of the way.
His size, he's a big guy, 6'3", 215. Born in Bryan, Ohio. Bruce Berenyi. Here is Terry Poole, 1 home run, 5 runs batted in, hitting .240. Strike 1. Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek here at Riverfront Stadium. Neither ball club took batting practice. Slight drizzle, but no rain right now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Poole hit 13 home runs last year, 5 of them leading off the ball game. His first home run this season came in the first inning, leading off.
The kid who a few years ago went unnoticed, but he has gotten better in almost every department in the last 3 years.
Left center field. Griffey coming hard. He's not going to get it. And there's that artificial surface coming into play, and it's an easy 2-base hit.
There is the Houston Astros game. Leave home plate, full tilt, cut the bag sharply, and keep on going and try and force mistakes. There's Terry Poole. He did not hit the ball well. Griffey is playing on a sore knee. The surgery he had, a winter or so ago, has not fully recovered. He's really been hurt by this artificial surface with all the pounding he has to do on it.
So they got a base runner on at second, and that brings up Craig Reynolds.
With one job to do, even this early in the ballgame, especially with the threat of rain, pull the ball, hit it to the right side.
He'll be able to do that. He can handle that bat. He's shortened up as if to bunt, maybe dragging one. Knight is in close at third. If there is there you see a picture of Knight creeping in at third base.
Well, he's going to try and go Bench's way, either to try and drag the ball or pull the ball, I would think. Let's see. Maybe hitting.
Ray Knight. In time. Good play. Moves a man over to third. 1 out. Base runner at third. Tony, if there is a chink in the armor, it has to be the outfield defense as we watch this play again.
I'll tell you, if Berenyi gets off the mound, he may have a shot. You can see he's a big guy, as you said, Joe. Knight makes a nice play. If Berenyi gets off the mound, he may have a shot at the runner at third base. But he didn't move at all. You're right. The outfield for the Reds with Foster left does not throw well, and of course Griffey on a bad knee, and Collins in right field, not considered a good outfielder.
Here is Cesar Cedeno with 1 home run, 7 runs batted in, 292. Tendonitis the ankle. The ankle he broke during the playoffs last year.
He has missed a few ball games, and when we were in the training room, Don Kiger, the trainer, spent an hour and a half trying to get him ready for this game with whirlpool, heat, stretching exercises.
Jammed him. Nice catch by a spectator and great camera work to follow that ball right into the stands as we look at Terry Poole, who's on at third base. 1 man out, top half of the first inning. Bruce Berenyi.
At the corners, Knight and Bench, should a ball be hit to them, they will try for the runner at home plate. Poole has speed as an excellent base runner. If the ball hit up the middle, they'll go for the sure out at first.
That artificial surface makes you think in a hurry, too.
It's so dangerous to bring guys. You can see Knight right here with Poole at third base. You bring him in too tight at the corners, and a guy bounces it over your head.
2 strikes, and Berenyi keeps coming at him.
They say the movement on his fastball, Joe, he gets in the air of 91 miles an hour, which is not overpowering, but it's a good major league fastball. But they say the movement makes it very difficult to catch him. The ball's liable to do anything.
Concepcion will get him at first, but the run scores, and it's 1-0. Houston with Jose Cruz coming up.
I have heard you use the expression down through the years about manufacturing a run. They just manufactured one. Poole legs out a double. Nice bunt, gets him to third, and a ground ball. They got to play that way.
That's one of those comfortable runs. the opposition really doesn't feel it when you score it like that. Nobody got hurt, but it's still on the scoreboard. Ball 1.
This man had a slow start, Cruz, but he has begun to hit.
Two balls and no strikes.
This year, this Houston ball club has led the National League in runners left on base. They have not been hitting in key situations. Last I heard, they're at something like 181 runners left on base, which is an extremely high total, but I'm sure last year they had the same kind of situation.
3 balls and no strikes. Berenyi against Cruz. 4 pitches, he walks him. He's on.
We talked in our pregame setting up this show as we look at Bobby Lillis, the first base coach, talking to Cruz. Cruz injured his leg playing winter ball in Puerto Rico, so he is not running as much as he has in past years. Berenyi, recall last week if you saw our game, has a very slow leg kick and goes home slowly.
Nolan is the catcher. Heap is the batter. Nolan made a good throw last night to get a runner. It's high, ball 1. I would tend to doubt, with Heap batting and that big hole between first and second, that Cruz will be off and running. It's been caught 4 times. Well, he only has 1 stolen base. 2 balls, no strikes. Danny Heap hitting .241. 5'11", 185. Born in San Antonio, Texas, still lives there. And Bill Fisher out on the mound. John McNamara, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, great rapport with his pitching coach, and talking about it before the game, he simply says, "Hey, Fish, you notice anything?" And Fish will answer, and then he said, "Well, go out and tell him." Out he goes.
How about the trip he made out last night? Seaver hit a 2-run home run, and Seaver pitched a shutout. I mean, he was the Seaver of all, but the bases loaded when Fish went out. You could see Tom Seaver smile. He relaxed him. Tom pitched out of him.
Cruz at first, 1-0, Houston leading. Top of the first.
May have been leading, Joe. Although 2-0, I would think he will let Heap swing away, try and pull the ball, and score from first for an extra base hit.
Out of play.
Here's the pitch.
Hey, it's a hitter. Come on now. Got that ball up. Got it by him.
The pitch you love. 2 balls, 1 strike. Let's see if he's going to go on it. With Cruz's bad leg, even at that, he may start him.
I don't think he will.
Oh, don't start an argument early. He's
no,
going.
It's not an argument. It's just a disagreement. He's got a bad leg. I'd like to keep that hole between first and second going. Let this guy pull a ball.
Yeah, but if he started, he hits the ball in the hole, and it rattles around in the corner, he can score from first base.
Well, we'll see if he's going. He's holding. There's a base. Whoa, what a play by Ray Knight. I started to say a base hit, and all of a sudden the big glove jumped up, and Danny Heap is robbed of a base hit. So we go into the bottom half of the first inning. The score here, Houston 1, Cincinnati coming to bat.
UCLA becomes the battleground for the high hurdles as Ronaldo Nehemiah and rival Greg Foster square off. Then rubber burns and engines roar in the NHRA World Finals of drag racing, plus the AIAW Women's Collegiate Swimming Championships tomorrow.
Hi, everybody. This is Larry Bittner of the Cincinnati Reds. And as Mar Thornberry says, I don't know why they want me to do this job, but anyway, here's the batting order for the Cincinnati Reds. Leading off, playing right field is our catalyst on the team, Dave Collins. Hitting second, playing center field is Ken Griffey. Hitting third is the National League RBI leader, Dave Concepcion. Batting fourth is our left fielder, George Foster. And batting fifth is playing first base today is Johnny Bench. Hitting sixth and catching will be Joe Nolan. Hitting seventh, playing third base is Ray Knight. Batting eighth and playing second base is Ron Oster. And our pitcher today is a young man who throws real good. First year in the big leagues, Bruce Berenyi. And on behalf of the Cincinnati Reds, I'd like to wish all you mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day.
Here's the defense behind Andujar, Jose Cruz in left, Cedeno in center, Terry Poole in right, Art Howe at third, a very steady Craig Reynolds at short, Dickie Town at second, Danny Heap at first base. Al Ashby, who's got to be one of the smartest catchers in baseball. He really knows how to call a game and handle a pitching staff, Joe. And there's Joaquin Crazy Horse Andujar on the mound. He may give us a show.
If he's in the mood, he'll give us a show. Howe has moved in at third to protect against the bunt. Collins hitting .371. Fastball misses, ball one.
Andujar, who has pitched for this ball club in relief and as a starter. Fastball not overpowering, curved slider, also a forkball. It looked like a screwball at times. Go away from the left-handed hitter.
Dave Collins hitting .371. That's a point behind Raines of Montreal, a sensational rookie that Bryant was talking about in the pregame show. Raines hitting at .372. Collins is slugging at a .557 percentage. Fastball misses. 2 balls and 1 strike. 1-0. Houston's out in front. We're in the bottom of the first. Joaquin Andujar. The Willie Montanez hot dog school of pitching. Good arm. Misses with the fastball. 3-1.
Andujar, another one of about, I guess 30 players in the major leagues now from the island of Hispaniola, a little country called the Dominican Republic. They must have almost 200 players playing professionally. Minor leagues, major leagues.
Ball 4. Love talking to Andujar. He says in America, one word says it all. You never know. Here's his motion.
Well, the Dominican Republic, you immediately think of Juan Marichal with that high leg kick. Andujar not quite as high as Marichal, but you can see the movement he generates toward the plate as he falls off that rubber. Base stealing threat on first right now.
Ken Griffey hitting .252. Collins a base stealing threat at first base. He had 79 stolen bases last season. He's third in the National League. LaFleur led with 97. He's been caught 5 times this year. He has 7 stolen bases.
Ashby has been throwing better this year. First half of last year, teams ran wild on him, but he had a sore arm, and then he got a lot better the second part of the year.
One ball and no strikes. As you see the split screen that our crew's putting up for you, you can, as a catcher, you would mark where Collins' right foot goes for his lead. Not quite as far as he was the last pitch. Two balls and no strikes. And as Joe Niekro, in giving the lineup, said, Andujar calls his catcher out and says, "What do I do?" And the pitching coach, Mel Wright, comes out and he's going to tell him what to do, and that is, you better start throwing some strikes.
Andujar does not strike out a lot. To be effective, his pitching coach, Mel Wright, would tell you, as will Bill Verdon, the manager, he's got to keep the ball down. He does not throw hard enough to overpower hitters up high. And in this ballpark, the ball carries pretty well down in the alleys, which are just 375.
And Collins with good speed at first. Griffey, a tough man to double up. He's the third toughest in the National League. Once every 136 times at bat. So they're liable to start the merry-go-round. 2 balls, no strikes, nobody out. Houston leading 1-0. We're in the bottom of the first. Reno. Andujar. Collins at first. Walked in. Base runners at first and second, and Dave Concepcion the batter. Concepcion with 2 home runs, 25 runs batted in, hitting at .323.
Davey attributes his fast start. He said, "I am stronger this year. I did not play winter ball." He's coming off elbow surgery, right elbow, which bothered him swinging the bat. but you can still see a trace of it when he swings, Joe, and he releases that right hand off the bat quite a bit.
Said last year it hurt him more to swing the bat than to throw the ball. There's a strike. Satch Davidson is the umpire behind the plate. Terry Tate's at first, Jerry Crawford at second, Ed Bargo's at third. As we look at Griffey, the base runner, at first, and Collins is on at second. Now the infielders come in, and they can simply say to him, what's going on?
Andujar is famous for this. They say he throws over more to first base than any pitcher in the National League. He does not throw a whole lot of pitches during the course of a ball game, but he takes a lot of time between pitches. This is the kind of stuff he's probably telling them what pitching pattern he may want to change on Concepcion, what pitch is working for him today. He may have found out it's his breaking ball, may move them over a couple of steps either way to try and align his defense.
One strike to count on Concepcion. Popped up, foul ball. It's going to drift it to the stands. Tony, the way things are going, Andujar has had more meetings with the players on the strike issue. He's had about 3 of them already this inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Joaquin Andujar. Art Howe, 1-0. Second base. He was in the act of throwing, but no double play.
I don't think that Dickie Thon, he had a thought for a second of going to third base. Art Howe makes a nice play. This is not an easy hop. Howe was playing well off the line. Look at this. Looks it right into his glove. He may have thrown Thon a little bit of a change up, and now the ball pops out. He had possession of the ball, the second base umpire. Tater right there. Look at him alertly look over. Jerry Crawford, excuse me, the umpire at second base. Tater is at first. But after the ball popped out, Thon thought he might look over and see if he could get Collins rounding the third base bag.
We have quite a battle going on now between Andujar and George Foster. Foster likes to really get set before he gets in there. Now he's ready. Well hit, left center field. Nobody will get this one. 1 run is in. Digging hard is Concepcion. They're going to try to score him. The throw is not in time. Cincinnati 2, Houston 1. Double.
Looked like a high breaking ball upstairs again for Andujar. And by not turning the double play, Houston cost itself 1 run as Concepcion scores all the way from first. You can see the alignment right there as the shortstop goes out for the cutoff, backed up by the second baseman.
George Foster is the big man in the Cincinnati lineup. You have to have somebody that can drive that run in from first base, and Foster can do that as we look at Johnny Bench. 18 RBIs, line drive, base hit. They have a play at the plate. They're going to hold him up. Throw is not cut off, but Bench holds it first. Foster thought the ball might be caught.
Third base coach Russ Nixon was criticized a couple of days ago for getting Joe Nolan trying that home plate, but with 1 out, you keep him there, take a chance on the sacrifice fly. 2 outs, he may have sent him and challenged the arm. Hey, those are the 2 guys we talked about, Foster and Bench. The little guys have been getting on base for them. They start hitting. It'll be a big factor for Cincinnati.
Foster is at third, Bench is at first, and Joe Nolan is the batter, hitting at .265. No home runs, 4 runs batted in. Nolan and O'Berry doing the catching for Cincinnati as the Houston bullpen gets busy. Bench had to dive back. Heap trying to find out if he wants Burton wants him to play behind the runner.
It is dangerous to do with Bench there because Bench has been known to sneak off and steal a base.
This will be deep enough. Foster tagging up. Bench is halfway. It's 3-1 Cincinnati. bench remains at first. Good inning for Cincinnati, 3 runs. Here is Ray Knight. 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in, hitting .225. Fastball misses, ball 1. Base on balls have hurt Andujar. He walked the first 2 men. They lost a double play. Concepcion was safe. Foster doubled, bench single, a sacrifice fly, and it's 3-1 Cincinnati. 2 balls, no strikes. Knight trying to battle out of one of those things called a slump. He's only had 3 hits in his last 29 times at bat. Slump is like the common cold. I don't care what you do, it's going to last for 2 weeks. There's a strike. Some hitters just don't believe they're in a slump. Colavito, I remember, used to always say, I'm not in a slump, I'm just not hitting. Just they hate to use that word.
Different kinds of slumps. Sometimes you're not getting any base hits, but you're hitting the ball hard.
Art Howe. Force at second, bench is out. That ends the inning. It's a good one for Cincinnati. We complete 1 inning of play here. It is Cincinnati 3, the Astros 1. We'll see Howe, Ashby, and Thon for Houston. The National League Western Division. The Dodgers 19-8 lead Atlanta by 4, Cincinnati by 5, San Francisco and Houston by 7, San Diego 10.5. It's going to be a good race.
With all the hoopla given Valenzuela, who deserves it, you forget that Hooten's, what, 4-0. Atlanta, who had such a good second half last year under Bobby Cox, are hanging tough.
And the Montreal Expos are leading the Giants in Vita Blue 1-0. Dodgers 1, Mets 0. Lopes a home run. That's Sutcliffe against Roberts. Art Howe. Boston 1, Toronto 0, bottom of the 3rd. Howe hitting .333. Curveball just hung. 2 balls and no strikes.
Joe Berenyi had kind of a long sit down on the bench as that inning was going, a couple of walks, several other balls hit pretty hard by the Reds, and many times a younger pitcher is affected by that more than an older pitcher. An older pitcher's been in these situations, he knows how to handle it, how to keep himself ready.
2 balls and a strike. Bruce Berenyi. Pop straight back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That was a great close-up of Berenyi as you watched his concentration as he delivered towards the plate, his eye on the target. Watch his eyes with this shot as he delivers towards the plate. Never took his eye off the target. Missed it, but never took his eye off.
That's where Berenyi goes wild, down low. Here's what Joe was talking about. Seaver, on the other hand, is a guy who takes his eyes off the hitter, looks down when he forms that picture window through his arms. You know, Billy Fisher, the pitching coach for Cincinnati, worked 3 days a week all offseason beneath the stands here in this stadium with Berenyi, trying to correct the mechanical flaw, and he was talking about his arm dragging behind his body, and unlike a lot of hard throws who go wild high, he goes wild low when he does.
Now back again, 3-2, and that is unusual. Art Howe has hit in 8 straight games. He's 15 for 31 in that streak. 484 as we see Berenyi. Little insert, bottom part of your screen. Right at Johnny bench. 1 out.
If you got the hands, you can play anywhere. Johnny perhaps does not have as much mobility as he once did, but I think when he first came up, if he'd have been a third baseman, first baseman, left or right fielder, he could have played any of them.
Well, the hands help, but if you can hit, they'll find a place for you. Because you can shake a tree and have gloves fall out.
But I think it's important, a catcher and a third baseman especially, to have the quick reflexes and quick hands, the way pitcher's ball moves or where the ball gets on you. And John's got him. He's got the good hand-eye coordination.
1 ball, no strikes on Ashby, hitting at .211, no home runs, 7 runs batted in. All right, Chopper, it's going to be a tough play. He'll not get him. Oster couldn't come up with it. So it's a base hit for Alan Ashby.
Maybe the toughest play that a second baseman has, that chopper, because he is going away from first base, so he has to catch it and throw it all in the same motion and make an off-balance throw. Artificial surface hit, you bet. It's a ground ball to the pitcher on grass and dirt. See where he tried to feel that ball? Brooks Robinson always taught players that on a slow hit ball, whether you're barehanded or not, try and have the ball hit the glove with your right foot touching the ground, so that you can catch the ball and throw.
Wait a minute now.
You got to shuffle your feet, you bet. You listen to Brooks, he'll explain it to you better than I did. On a slow hit ball, your right foot hits the ground as the ball hits your glove, and you come up throwing.
You've got to be Houdini to do that.
You got to have quick feet.
And a lot of dancing lessons.
You catchers wouldn't understand that.
No way.
Behind there, you don't have those kind of plays.
You're right. 1 strike to count. Dickie Thon, 1 out. 3-1. Cincinnati leading. Let's see which foot he had as he got the ball.
Left foot. Brooks says when the ball hits the glove,
wrong foot.
Right foot should be touching the ground.
Take away his dance tickets. Wrong foot. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You don't have to believe me, but believe Brooks, okay?
I believe
Hall of Fame.
But all those Hall of Famers have these theories after they retire. 2 balls and 1 strike. Bruce Berenyi. He's got a 2-run lead. Cincinnati came up with 3 runs in the first after Houston had taken a 1-0 lead. Foul ball out of play. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. In any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Out of play. 3-1, Cincinnati leading. Ashby on at first.
That's been a little bit of a problem spot, I think, second base for Verdon. Of course, had Morgan there at the end of last year, did such an outstanding job the last 5 or 6 weeks. Landeskog hasn't been hitting. Dickie Thon is playing there today.
Hot smash. Oster has it. Should be 2. There's 1. They'll not get him. Good play. Thon got down that line in good shape, Tony.
And it's a, well, he's a base stealer. He's one of the base stealers, but take a look at Oster, a former shortstop. You tell me that Joe Gordon made that play well, going to his left. He was an acrobatic second baseman, turned around, made sure he got the lead runner. Here it comes from another angle. Oster covers a lot of ground. Boy, did he low bridge him. You could see Alan Ashby going down many strides away from the second base bag.
There's that weapon that the infielder uses as we see Andujar in the batter's box. Andujar, a good swinger, not much of a hitter. 0 for 5.
Now this I don't understand. Why is he batting right-handed against a right-handed pitcher? This is what makes Andujar interesting, colorful. He's a switch hitter.
He's trying to confuse the pitcher.
I think he's confused, one or the other.
2 strikes. Although I've had pitching coaches, Tony, tell bad hitting pitchers, you bat the way that keeps your pitching arm away from the pitcher, so that if you get hit, you can hit on the other arm. Now you really got to be a bad hitter for a guy to tell you that. 2 strikes. There goes the runner. Struck him out. 3 pitches. Andujar is out. First strikeout for Berenyi. Ends the second inning. Houston does not score. We go to the bottom half of the second inning and score. Cincinnati 3 and Houston 1.
Next Saturday, the National League's leading slugger, Dave Collins, sparks the Cincinnati Reds against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Plus, George Brett and the KC Royals take on the Boston Red Sox.
Let's take a look at Friday's National League game. San Francisco 4, Montreal 3. Tim Raines had 4 stolen bases, 26 on the season. Dodgers behind Valenzuela. 5th shutout of the season. He's now 7-0, earned run average of 0.29, struck out 11. Dodgers 1, Mets nothing. Atlanta 4, Chicago 3. Hubbard hit a home run for the Braves in the 11th. Phillies beat San Diego 11-7. Mike Schmidt had 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Oster. Cincinnati beat Houston last night 4-0. Seaver hit a 2-run homer. He pitched a 6-hit shutout, his 54th shutout of his career. That's the most among active pitchers. Walter Johnson has the all-time record as we look at Oster, the count of 1-1. And St. Louis beat Pittsburgh 5-4. Bob Shirley's now 4-0. There's the strike. The American League, Seattle 3, Yankees 2. Pachorik led off the 9th with the home run to win it. Mariners are now 3-0 under Latchman. Detroit 6, California 1. Kemp had a 2-run homer, and McCaddy and the Oakland A's 2, Milwaukee 0. Baltimore, Texas rained out. And Minnesota beat Cleveland 8-7, Chicago 9, Kansas City 5, and Boston beat Toronto 4-2. Those were Friday night scores. Off the handle, short left field. Cruz coming hard. He'll not get it. It drops for a base hit.
Andujar, Joe, is still having difficulty getting the ball down to the strike zone. Now, he jammed Oster with that pitch, but not hit it well. That is Ron Plaza, the first base coach. If he's got the ball down and he gets the ball inside, it's a weak ground ball. As soon as it gets up belt high, a hitter can just loft it off and fight it, loft the ball and fight it off.
Andujar walked Collins and Griffey, and Concepcion hit the ball hard. Foster doubled hard to left center field, and Bench singled hard to right field. Nolan hit a long sacrifice fly, so Andujar hasn't exactly put handcuffs on these Cincinnati batters. Looking for the bunt. Bunted. Andujar has it. He'll tag him. He does. Oster moves to second. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek at Riverfront Stadium, where the Reds are leading the Astros 3-1 in the bottom of the second, and the base runner on at second base, Ron Oster. Andujar, the pitcher, against Berenyi. Collins walked and scored his first time up. Out of play, strike one. They had 31,000 here last night. Another good crowd, threatening weather. Ron Oster at second base.
They really play Dave Collins shallow in left and center field. If he had a ball down the line or in the left center field gap or right center field, he could run a long time. Look at the alignment. Cruz and Cedeno.
1 ball, 1 strike.
That's where the charts come in. The super scouts, advanced scouts, the charting pitchers and players and where they hit. They narrow it down to a percentage where he is most likely to hit the ball off each pitcher. And if the pitcher executes, as Casey would say, got to execute, he'll usually hit it. I guess that's why, Joe, where so many balls are hit hard in the major leagues that are caught.
It's not by accident. Lays off the high pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike. Oster at second. Cincinnati 3 and Houston 1. We're in the bottom of the second. Out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. John McNamara looking on. Bill Verdon on the other side. Pitching coach Mel Wright. Struck him out. High fastball. That's the first strikeout for Andujar. So there are 2 away. And it brings up Griffey. Andujar averages 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. Hey, come on, Griffey walked his first time up. foul ball. One strike. No balls, 2 outs. Andujar, very deliberate worker. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's not the kind of a guy you want to have pitching for you if you double park.
You know, I don't think he's had good enough control of his fastball and slider yet to even throw very many forkballs. He's been in so much hot water, but that forkball, which he uses as a chain, is a very important pitch for him. He's got to get that over and use it once in a while to make that other stuff look a little bit harder.
2 balls and 1 strike to count.
He's still pitching high. He struck out Collins with a high fastball, but he's one guy they do not like to use the radar gun on because they use it on Nolan Ryan, some of the other hard throwers, and Andujar tries to throw as hard as they do. And he overthrows and his ball straightens out.
There's the strike. Always thought that Andujar threw a sinker. I asked Joe Niekro about that. He says he does, but you ask Andujar, he says he doesn't throw a sinker.
You think he knows?
2 balls and 2 strikes. Griffey waiting. Down the left field line. Cruz going to have to come hard. Drifting near the line. A fair ball. Bounced into the stands. It's a double. Just barely fair. Cruz looking at the spot. It was fair, all right.
There's another one of those, not a bad pitch, although it was up again. Cruz on that bad knee. If he's got a healthy knee, he may have come closer to this ball. You can see the ball spin away, and luckily for the Astros that it did spin away and go in the stands. If that catches the corner there and goes in the corner down there, that's probably a triple, maybe inside the park home run.
That ball just right inside the line. Watch it land.
Just kept slicing away from him, didn't it?
Yeah. He couldn't have surveyed it and placed it any better. So it's 4-1. Cincinnati out in front. Here's Concepcion with 25 RBIs. A chance to pick up another one. He's leading the league in RBIs. Well, he's tied. Foul ball straight back. Mike Schmidt with that big day yesterday. 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. Also has 25 runs driven in.
Got the word. That last foul ball almost dehorned Nuxie. Joe Nuxall along with Marty Brenneman. Broadcast booth for Cincinnati. This is what, Nuxie, look at the runner Griffey at second, the youngest pitcher ever to pitch in the big league. What, 15 years old was he? And then they set him down.
The way he caught that ball, he's not going to see his next birthday. Almost took his head off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's a tough play, that foul ball that comes straight back. No glove. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Griffey's at second base. Cincinnati's out in front, 4-1. We're in the bottom of the second. Misses with the fastball high, and Andujar talking to himself.
With 2 strikes, Davey Concepcion went up on the bat about an inch or so. Pretty good tip for some of you youngsters watching. Pitcher gets ahead of you. Give it a little bit. You can see he's got that little donut right there.
Got the double knob,
so the bat doesn't slip out of his hands. He's choked up a little more with 2 strikes.
Little looper. Cruz can't get it. A run will score. 5-1 Cincinnati.
Andujar drop down, come a little bit from the side, try to get Concepcion backing out, and you can see Concepcion does step in the bucket a little bit, but he keeps the ball inside. If he gets the ball away, he's got Davey. He just has not had good control, Andujar.
You come from third base to make the hitter give ground, but you got to get that ball the outside part of the plate. Davey got just enough wood on it to plunk one in there. Very polite single. nonetheless, it drove in the run. San Francisco, Montreal leading 1-0, bottom of the third. Well hit, left field. Cruz is there. For a minute you thought it was gone, Tone.
Got him on the fence.
So, we complete 2 innings of baseball here. Cincinnati 5, Houston 1.
Sunday, sit down with your mom when the superstars perform with their supermoms in an all-star salute to Mother's Day.
I mean, this is exciting stuff.
Sunday on NBC.
Vintage Chicago Furnishings, Saturday at 6 on Q.
Well, every ballpark seems to have their mascot. That's Mr. Red and Rosie.
I wonder if the band scout Eddie Einhorn is here. Read what he's doing.
What's he doing?
Eddie Einhorn is, along with Jerry Reinsdorf, one of the new owners of the Chicago White Sox. And Einhorn, if you look at Don Sutton, relaxing. Einhorn is advanced scouting the National League for mascots.
Kidding.
I guess the White Sox are going to come up with a mascot. He's checking out Philly Fanatic, Mr. Red, San Diego Chicken,
Fred Bird.
You bet.
The Pirate. What do they call the Pirate guy? Right field. Collins is there. Makes the play. The Mets are leading the Dodgers 4-1 at the end of 2. Davey Lopes a home run. Roberts against Sutcliffe. Montreal 1, San Francisco 0. Bottom of the third. Tonight it's the Cubs against Atlanta, Pittsburgh at St. Louis, San Diego at Philadelphia. As we look at Craig Reynolds. American League, it's the Boston Red Sox 4 and Toronto 2. Stanley in relief, Willis in relief. Cleveland 0, Minnesota 0, end of 2. Milwaukee's at Oakland. Tonight it's Kansas City at Chicago, Baltimore at Texas, Detroit at California. The Yankees play Seattle. That's high.
Joe Nolan behind the plate. A moment ago, they just had a sign. Mom and Dad are here from St. Louis, your old neighborhood.
Right, celebrating their 37th wedding anniversary. What a beautiful sign that is. Fastball misses, and much like our Joe Sambito and the giving the lineups with Dave Smith and Larry Bittner, a happy Mother's Day. Tomorrow, a beautiful day. Line drive, center field. Griffey is there.
Well, I'm sure Billy Fisher and Joe Nolan have told Berenyi, throw the ball for strikes, get ahead of the hitter, but don't get out of your groove. Keep throwing the ball hard for strikes. Don't get lax and just say, well, we got a 4-run lead, and lay it in there. Many times a young pitcher will do that, and he can't get that rhythm back if he should get in trouble.
That's a tough part about catching, is you have to make sure you continue to use all the pitches and not just the fastball to get strikes, because then you go to the well for the curveball and it's dry. As we look at Cedeno.
Might be able to see on that last shot Cedeno's right ankle, which he's got a little bit of a cast on it.
One hand grab by Concepcion. It's 1-2-3, and Berenyi has his easiest inning yet. We go to the bottom half of the third inning with the score here. Cincinnati 5, Houston 1, and Cincinnati will send up bench Nolan and Knight.
I can tell a real cowboy from the drugstore kind, clean across Texas. The way he wears his hat will tell you. And the beer that you drink's a surefire giveaway, too. A lot of us drink light beer from Miller. We love the taste, but we surely appreciate that it's got a third less calories than the regular kind. You see, you don't want to be filled up when you're out there punching doggies. Ain't that right, cowboy? I didn't punch that doggie.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
You can see on this shot of Cedeno on this swing that right ankle and how it's taped up. In fact, he said he's becoming a little more of a front foot hitter. He said, you know, that's not bad. Here it is. Right foot, a little bit of a plastic cast for support. He does not run very well. It bothers him throwing, bothers him hitting. It's going to be something, I think, Joe, and he is important to this ball club in all areas, that he's going to have to live with all year long. Off and on, it's going to bother him.
Yes, sir. Here's Johnny Bench. High and tight, ball 1. Johnny Bench, 30th on the all-time home run list, 357, one behind Yogi Berra. Not this time as Howell comes in. They get him.
I think that pitch before Johnny hit the ground ball was interesting because Johnny almost looked like he thought a brush back was going to be thrown. He's been around a lot. He knows Andujar's reputation. They've been swinging the bats pretty well at Andujar, and the ball was thrown close to him. He just leaned his head back. There it is. Watch this. Well, he was striding into the ball, but he still turned the head and the shoulder. If he was going to get a hit, it was going to hit him in the back.
He was in control. Here's Nolan, hit a sacrifice fly his first time up. 1 ball, no strikes. Joe Nolan, St. Louis, hometown. There's a base hit. Mama will be happy today. Sacrifice fly and a base hit. Little Joey is on.
I think the Nolan story is interesting. He spent 8 years in the minor leagues, was released by Atlanta. Picked him up last year. He did a good job with the bat for Cincinnati. He's an offensive player. The other catcher that started out with the Red Sox, Oberry, is more of a defensive catcher.
Translated, that means one can hit and can't throw, and the other one can throw and can't hit. I've been in that situation. Nolan draws the throw. That ought to make him feel good. Very few times you see a pitcher try to pick a catcher off. Nolan doesn't have that big a lead. One ball, no strikes. Ray Knight, who's been having some troubles in the batter's box, sometimes a manager will put a hit and run play on just to make the batter swing, and make him a little more aggressive. 1 man out here. The runner does break. That would be the only reason. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cincinnati leading by 4. 5-1 is the score. We're in the bottom of the 3rd.
Nolan has not been getting a very big lead.
That got Satch Davidson. He takes the mask off, checks it. Hit him fair and square right in the middle of the mask.
That's the one thing that always bothered me about a catcher. Satch is an umpire. Of course, he looks like he's got a chaw in his mouth. Those babies jolt you in the face mask. You swallow a little bit of that tobacco juice, cause you a problem for a while.
You could have terminal heartburn. Curveball hangs inside. Joaquin Andujar.
Houston's pitching while they've been winning on the road. Andujar is checking the count, which is not right up on the board. They've got 0-2, and
it's 2-2.
Wanted to check. It's 2-2, but the pitching staff over the last 14 games for Houston, the starters, are giving up just over about a run and a half a game. That's why they've been winning.
Left center field. Cedeno over. He's there, makes the catch, and Nolan heads back to first. Cedeno, in talking to him yesterday, said that he re-injured his ankle as he broke towards the left field line and tried to put on the brakes, is the expression he used, and he's got some tendonitis. A good ball player, Cesar Cedeno. 2 outs, and Ron Oster is the batter. He singled and scored in the 2nd inning. Oster is now hit in 11 straight games, 17 for 38. That's a .447 average over that streak. Ball 1.
Oster hitting from the left side is hitting .304 today, this season. Right-handed .250.
Curveball misses. 2 balls and no strikes.
Which many times surprises me because he is a natural right-handed hitter, but I guess just hitting more from the left side, he's developed a better stroke that way.
Foul ball, out of play. 2 balls and a strike to count. Nolan heads back to first. 5-1. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. Cincinnati's out in front. Nolan a lead, not much of a lead, as you can see. Two balls, two strikes.
Moto.
Two men out. There goes the runner. Here's the throw. It'll not get him. And Nolan has himself a stolen base.
Joe, there's no reason, I don't think, why a catcher like Nolan should get that kind of jump off any pitcher. He does not have a good lead, as you can see. It looks almost like a hit-and-run situation where he is looking to pick up the ball. Ashby hurried his throw. Had he gotten there on time, Ashby drops down to the side, and the ball really tailed in toward first base. Not an easy pitch to throw on. Nolan, pretty good job. He's out if he gets the ball there in time.
Oh, yeah, but that was one of those defensive plays, too, I think, Tony. 3-2. Hot smash. Andujar knocks it down. He's going to get him. Throws it high. Safe. It'll be an error on the pitcher.
I'll tell you, Danny Heap came right down on the bag. And the first base umpire, Terry Tata, says the throw was beaten, but it looked to me like he came back down on the bag before he got there. He's out.
Oh, yeah.
He's out.
Full stride.
He came right back down on the base. They're going to charge an error to Andujar, the pitcher, as you said, Joe, but that should have been out number 3, but now he's in trouble.
Here's the play again. What do you think? Now, he catches the ball, watch his foot.
No doubt he's out. Right on the bag, and the foot is not down yet.
Hasn't reached it yet either. I think this is what McNamara wanted when he started Nolan, that if Nolan would be thrown out, Oster would have led off the inning and been able to use Berenyi to punt. Gets him up there, and it'll end the inning. And whoa! Everybody's safe. Oh, what a little league play that was. I can't believe that play, Tony. That is really a lack of communication and no excuse in the world.
Joe, here's the problem that comes about when you have too many guys playing in the middle of that. What's done? He thinks that Reynolds is going to take it himself. He turns his back, and Reynolds just keeps going over, and Reynolds flips him the ball, and he's not looking. But that is the place in the middle of the diamond where you've got to have perfect communication. I guess pitcher and catcher is most important, but shortstop, second base, and you don't have the communication if you got a Landeskog playing one day and Knowles or a Dickie Town the next day. Last year it was a couple of other guys. Morgan was there. It makes it tough on a shortstop.
Well, wouldn't he have hollered, I got it, or I'll take it?
And that's the lack of communication.
It's an error on the shortstop.
An unfair error charge because he made the right play.
Now they make it. They were going to keep trying until they got it right. They got it right that time. At the end of 3 innings, Cincinnati with a gift run. 6, Houston 1.
Saturday is Barbara Mandrell with Jerry Reed. Then Grant traps VJ in a blackmail scandal. And Buford's new love faces death on Walking Tall on NBC.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek. And you can see the Reds 6, the Astros 1. We're in the top half of the 4th inning. Tomorrow, don't forget Sports World as we look at Tom Seaver, who's had a bat, hoping that wife Nancy will hear about the home run that he hit. That's where he hit it, right on the screws.
See, he's got 12 lifetime home runs, doesn't he? Everybody wants to get in the act. Tommy Hume,
well,
new hitting instructor, taking over Clue's spot.
Well hit, center field. Griffey's got room. 1 out. Starting to tell you about Sports World. The International Invitation will be live tomorrow. You'll see an outstanding men and women field and track. Some of the expected showdowns: Stanley Floyd, James Sanford, Ronaldo Nehemiah. And then they have some funny cars in the NHRA World Drag Race Finals. And then the AIAW National Women's Collegiate Swimming Championships tomorrow on Sports World, 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
Nothing prettier than watching an athlete like Ronaldo Nehemiah run hurdles.
Left field, a base hit. Danny Heap singles to left, so he's on and brings up Art Howe.
Berenyi just trying to throw strikes, Joe. Try to throw strikes with something on. He's gone pretty much with fastball after fastball. When he has a problem, it's the base on ball that gets him in trouble.
Got to keep working those other pitches, but the tendency is not to get behind the hitters and to throw strikes, and it's easier to throw a strike with a fastball. And there's another one, and strike one. In the old days when you were trailing by 5, it was make him throw strikes, but it has changed. That book they talk about is gone, Tony.
Throw strikes with something on it. You can see the Astro hitters are looking for fastballs off Berenyi, and they still can't catch up to it. Howe was late on that one. Another one.
Base hit to right field. Howe singles to right. He pulls on at second. The base runners are at first and second. One man out, and Alan Ashby is the batter.
Bob Lillis, former Dodger. In fact, he was a member of one of the original Houston Colts, wasn't he? The Colt 45s before they became the Astros and moved into the Dome.
One out. We've got 10 hits in this ball game. 6 by Cincinnati, 4 by Houston. Ball 1. Astros with Heap at second base. Howe's at first base. They've hit the ball hard. Berenyi. They're taking their cuts. I mean, they're not leaving the bat in the bat rack.
But they're still late. Now, he was late on that ball. The pitch before that, Howe. There's Bobby Sprowl, the left-hander, warming up for the Astros. But even Howe got jammed on a fastball that he hit the opposite way. I think not only speed, it's the movement on the ball.
Curveball, foul tip. 1 ball and 2 strikes, 1 out. 6-1, Cincinnati's leading. We're in the 4th. The end of 3. Montreal 1, San Francisco nothing. Mets 4, Dodgers 1, into 3. Lopes a home run. Out of play.
When you look at the Cincinnati pitching staff, aside from Seaver and Bear, his 30s, it's a pretty young staff. You have a kid like Berenyi, early 20s. Soto, got a chance to be an exceptional pitcher. Pastore, Hume, Price, Moscow, late 20s.
Curveball misses 2-2. On that last shot that you saw with the grip of the ball, that's the thing the pitching coaches look for, especially with the young pitcher. The seams. Fingers in relation to the seams and how they go into that glove. Misses. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Show you how important that is. Bryant Gumble did a little piece in this pregame show on Ron Davis striking out so many, and Stan Williams, the pitching coach, said you've been throwing with the seam fastballs most of your career. Why don't you go cross seams and make the ball ride a little bit? And he ran that streak of strikeouts off just by changing his grip a little bit. Gives him another pitch.
Trying to keep, there you saw it, with the seams. Got him. Fastball. That would be a thing that if you were coaching, you would say to yourself, well, he went into the glove with the seams and he threw a fastball. Let's see if he does it the next time and the next time. I think after about 3 pitches, if he does that, you'd say, hey, maybe I'm on to something.
Al, I think a lot of interesting discussions that we've seen regarding Fernando Valenzuela, and we'll talk about it during the game. Some of the things you've talked about from the mechanics of that screwball. We talked about with Seaver and Joe Nuxhall and McNamara.
Here's Thon. Misses. Ball 1. How long will he last? Is it too much of a strain on his arm? Carl Hubble, who invented the screwball and named it, thinks that the young left-hander is the best that he has seen in 40 years. Perfect delivery for the screwball. Don, 2 balls and no strikes. He came over from the California Angels for Ken Forsch. Born in South Bend, Indiana, now lives in Puerto Rico. There's the grip.
Crossed the seams that time. I'll tell you what, there are 2 guys in the coaching lines for Houston, Don Leppert at third and Bob Lewis at first. They're, well, Leppert at third, and you see there is a former catcher. And there's Lillis. They will pick up something like that if a pitcher develops a pattern. The pitchers and pitching coaches are aware when a guy telegraphs his pitches, so it just takes 1 pitch to grip the ball like a curveball and change when you're going to glove and come in with a fastball that will straighten the hitter up in a hurry.
2 balls and 1 strike. 2 outs, 6-1, Cincinnati leading. Fastball, foul straight back. Nuxhall has another chance, but in and out. Joe Nolan looking up at him. And Satch Davidson.
I think Nuxie better let the Sherman have him from here on in. Let Marty Brenneman take it.
5th inning, Montreal 1, San Francisco nothing. Left center field, Griffey giving it a chase. He makes the catch.
This is really a much better play than it looked like. He just outran the ball because for Dickie Thon, he was playing him toward right field and shallow, and Griffey shows the speed.
Speed will erase a lot of mistakes. He simply outran that ball. So we go to the bottom of the 4th. The score here is Cincinnati 6 and Houston 1.
Live from UCLA, top-ranked American Steve Scott and Ireland's own Eamon Coughlin go head-to-head in the mile. Plus, engines roar in the NHRA World Finals of Drag Racing tomorrow.
You know, when I was a kid listening to baseball on radio, it used to always amaze me, Tony, when the announcer would say, why is it that when a fellow makes a great catch, he always bats in that inning? And I used to think there was some big mysterious thing, but it always seems to happen. Here's Griffey.
You've been listening to Steve Dans too much, or statistician. That doesn't happen any more often than it doesn't happen. Come on.
All right. Strike 1.
Maybe Andujar's last inning. He's scheduled up first in the 5th.
Griffey has doubled and scored, and he walked. Takes it high. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Griffey, a man, when he hits the ball in the infield, you had better hurry the ball over to first base because he is stepping toward first base with that right foot right there, and he's got a good break out of the box. I guess the most extreme case of that would be a guy like Vic Davalillo when he played with Cleveland and the Dodgers.
I think there were times he was out of the box and his bat was still there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Out of play. Count remains at 1-2. 6 runs, 6 hits, no errors for Cincinnati. 1 run, 4 hits, 2 errors for Houston. Next Saturday, baseball, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. One of our games. Kansas City against the Red Sox.
The Royals are struggling, as is Boston. Kansas City didn't get off to that good a start last year either, nor did Brett.
Base hit past Dickie Thon. Oh, Griffey is on. He's got his 2nd base hit of the afternoon. Brings up Dave Concepcion as we look at the replay. He almost had that ball, Tony.
He's a tough guy to play because he'll hit the ball down the left field line. He'll spray it up the middle, and the shortstop, second base, will usually bunch him up the middle as Thon was, and then he got a ball inside and pulled it.
Concepcion hit into a force play and scored in the first inning, singled to drive in a run in the second inning. Concepcion has made himself a good hitter.
You might recall the first couple of years we saw him, like he looked like he was going to be a 200 hitter. Everybody knew he was going to be a great fielder. But,
just looking at his record, Tony, in 1970 he hit 260, 71 he hit 205, then 209, then 287, 281, 274, 281, 271, 300.
You might chalk his success up to the hitting instructor, Ted Kluszewski, because Kluszewski thought he would not hit earlier either. There's Griffey being held by Heap. But he gave him a lighter bat, moved him up on the plate a little bit, and said, you better hit the right field, son. You better not try and pull everything. Finally got to him.
Got under it. Cedeno stumbled, recovers. He's got it now. Griffey goes back. Cedeno talking to left fielder Cruz now. Some problems with that ball as Cruz heads back to left field.
I don't think playing a lot on artificial surface. That's Cruz going back. Cedeno in center field who stumbled has the 5 gold gloves, but playing an artificial surface is not going to allow that ankle to heal too quickly.
Here's George Foster, hit a big double in that first inning when Cincinnati scored 3, drove in 2 runs. Ball 1. Fastball, they're going to try to jam him. High hopper. That's all they'll get. Safe. What did he call him out? Call him out.
Two pretty good plays. One by the shortstop Reynolds. He really had to come in on a high hop. If he backs up on this ball, he gets no one. Then he has to throw across his body to Thon. With a guy like Griffey running, you better make a quick play. Here it is from another angle. You can see how Thon sets up. Left field side of the bag, so he couldn't get upended by Griffey.
Bench had a good cut at a fastball. 1 strike.
There have been people who have gone so far as to say, as we look at Foster, that Johnny Bench is washed up. I do not believe, though, Joe, that if he has a healthy year, I think he's going to contribute a lot to this ball club. And catch when he can. He's had a bad knee, some back trouble. He's got calcium deposit in the right elbow. Last week, he was taken out of the line because he had a pulled muscle in his chest. But if he is healthy, he will contribute and probably get over 100 games under his belt this year.
2-strike pitch. Thon has it. Steps on the bag, forces on, ends the 4th inning. So the score at the end of 4, Cincinnati 6, Houston 1. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Troubled Waters, Monday at 10 on Chicago's News Center, Channel 5. Troubled Waters, Monday at 10 on Chicago's News Center, Channel 5.
6-1, Cincinnati leading the Houston Astros. Let's see what's happening in Montreal right now.
Full count. Merle Harmon and Ron Luciano in Montreal, where the Montreal Expos are leading the Giants 1-0, getting the run in the first inning for Steve Rogers, who is in a bit of trouble here right now in the Giant half of the 5th. With John LeMaster, who doubled with 2 down on at second. Vida Blue, the pitcher who walked, is on at first. Billy North has a 3-ball, 2-strike count. And let's see what he can do. Runners going, base hit down the line will tie the game. Lemaster will score. Timmy Raines running the ball down. Vida Blue being waved home, and he is going to make it, and it's 2-1 San Francisco. So Vida Blue scores from first base on a double into the left field corner by Billy North, and Steve Rogers has lost the 1-0 lead. It's now 2-1 San Francisco.
And here it is, and it was the pitch before that cost him the 2 runs, because he shouldn't have gone 3-2. It was right down the line, and you can see it. It went by the third baseman there, Tim Wallach, and it ended up a double. But the pitch before that was the important pitch. He should have never gone to 3-2.
So the Giants grab the lead after being shut out over the first 4 innings. Timmy Raines, the super speedster for Montreal, got the run for the Expos in the first inning with a single, stole second, moved to third on a pass ball, and scored on a Gary Carter groundout. That's been the Expos offense today. Right now, Enos Cabell, the first baseman of the Giants, with a strikeout and a single to center. So San Francisco is on top, 2-1. Knocked off the glove by Scott, and here is Billy North trying to score. He is going to be out at the plate. Great recovery off the glove of Rodney Scott at second, and Gary Carter had the plate blocked off, and Enos Cabell will get a base hit out of it, but no RBI because North is shot down.
And here it is. Rodney Scott makes a nice play on this. Gets back, good throw to Carter. Carter holds onto the ball, and North tried to upset him. Look at North. He knew what to do all the way. Had a chance at it, and it had to be a good throw, and it was a nice bounce off the carpet. And Carter stayed in there and got him out.
So a pair of runs on 3 base hits. The Giants take the lead. And at the end of 4.5 innings in San Francisco, it's the Giants 2 and the Expos 1.
Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek back in Cincinnati. There's your score. Reds 6, Astros 1. We're in the 5th. Andujar was a scheduled hitter for the Astros. He was pinch hit for by Joe Pittman. He walked on 4 straight pitches. The count now on Poole is 3-1. So Berenyi, the youngster for Cincinnati, had thrown 7 consecutive balls. Now he runs the count to 3-1. Ball 4. Berenyi walks 2 in a row, and it'll bring up Craig Reynolds, the shortstop. Reynolds is sacrificed and flied to center field, and out comes John McNamara. Could this be what we were talking about, where he was throwing strikes, and he lost the rhythm?
Well, we talked about it, and we also were talking with John McNamara before the game, and usually he sends out his pitching coach unless he specifically sees something as an old catcher, and he very definitely saw something, because with that close-up you saw of McNamara, he's a low-key kind of guy, but a very forceful kind of a guy. And whatever he saw, he told Mr. Berenyi in no uncertain terms.
Well, McNamara says of Berenyi, there's Paul Moskow warming up for Cincinnati. McNamara has said that Berenyi is too easygoing, and maybe he tried to jab him a little bit, take charge a little more. But there are 2 men on base for Houston. Reds lead 6-1. He misses away, 1-0. So 3 consecutive hitters that Berenyi is behind. This time it's Reynolds.
He's aiming the ball is what he's doing. He's just trying to aim it.
McNamara. Satch Davidson, 1 ball and 1 strike. Reach Johnny's lips. Say, come on, throw the ball. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 men out.
There are many times that a pitcher gets a lead like that, Tony, that a guy becomes a hope pitcher. I hope I get it over. I hope he hits it. I hope somebody catches it. And you want him to quit hoping and throw it.
So the inexperience of Berenyi is showing at this point. Ground ball should be 2. Oster, Concepcion, he low bridges them. Double play. So Berenyi throws the sinker when he needed it.
The pitcher's best friend, and he gets it right here. And the picture to watch is when Oster gives the ball to Concepcion. Watch him just leap over him, and he's already got the ball on its way to first.
And then Oster showed him the ball. He took that ball out of the glove. Watch this right here. Moving toward Concepcion for better control to get a little more on it.
And gives it to him about chest high.
So now with a man on third and 2 outs, it's Cesar Cedeno who has hit. Cincinnati pitching well during his lifetime, has 31 home runs. He pulls this in foul, almost in the dugout. Cedeno lifetime versus Cincinnati, 329, 31 home runs, 107 RBIs. He has one today.
He just broke his bat. He's kind of sad because it was a favorite. And with the bat strike, it hurts.
He's got a lot of tape on that bat. You can have tape, pine tar, what is it, up to 18 inches from the knob of the bat, I think is what the rule says. Get it any higher, you consider doctoring the bat.
I see our friend Bill Kunkel has come up with a new wrinkle for umpires, too. You remember he had the tape measure in the World Series?
Call the balk. Berenyi balks, so the runner will come home. Pittman from third base.
Cedeno caused it. Cedeno backed out of the box, and he stopped.
I think he broke his hands while his foot was still on the rubber, Joe. Berenyi did, instead of stepping off the rubber first and then breaking it. Watch.
Right there. That's where he stops him. He backs out. See Cedeno backing out, and he just stopped.
You can see Cedeno can request time from the umpire. Well, I'll tell you what, Sats Davidson never missed a beat. He was really on the ball in that play. Cedeno stepped out. He may have requested time from the home plate umpire, Sats Davidson, but didn't get it. Berenyi saw him step out, stopped his delivery. So now the score is Reds 6, Astros 2 on the balk by Berenyi. 2 strikes, Cedeno hits it hard, but almost right at bench. So Berenyi caused his own problems. 2 walks and a balk, almost had out of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th here in Cincinnati with a score: the Reds 6, Houston Astros 2. There's your score in Cincinnati. Reds 6, Astros 2. A new pitcher has come on for Houston, Bobby Sprowl, but there's some action in the Montreal game, and we're going to take you there.
Merle Herman and Ron Luciano with you from Montreal. Mr. Excitement is coming to the plate. Rookie Tim Raines, who leads the National League in hitting at .372 coming into the ball game. He had stolen 26 bases in 24 games coming into this one. 26 out of 28 attempts, and what did he do in the first inning? He singled, stole second, moved to third on a pass ball, scored on a ground out. That's the only run right now for the Expos, but he's got a chance to give them the lead, or at least tie it up. Jerry White is a runner at third base. Ball 1. The last thing that a pitcher wants to do is walk Tim Raines. They have put clocks on him. His first base coach, Steve Boros, clocks the pitcher's delivery time to the plate. If Raines gets aboard, it's like an extra base hit. Low, ball 2. It's 2-1 San Francisco as the Giants grab the lead in the top of the 5th on a 2-run double by Billy North. And a pitcher's duel between Vida Blue of the Giants and Steve Rogers of the Montreal Expos. 2 balls, no strikes. Strike 1.
Oh, I'll tell you, we'll watch White at third. Everybody's booing. Tim's so exciting that this whole match, this whole game, he does things that the crowd was really quiet until he came up. Now they're bumping, and every heartbeat is on that pitch right there. And it's 2-2, and Blue is back out. Ooh, he was in a hole 2-0, and now it's 2-2.
Timmy Raines last night stole 4 bases against the Giants. They were down by a score of 4-1. He stole second, he stole third. They gave him a standing ovation. Before the night was over, he had 4 steals and 4 attempts. And if he keeps going the way he is going now, he'll break every record in the book. Lou Brock, all of them. Wills, everything. Outside, ball 3, strike 2. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning in Montreal with the Giants leading 2-1. Look at the concentration on Blue. He doesn't want to lose this guy. But he did. Look at Vida Blue jumped 2 feet in the air.
He wanted that pitch. He wanted it. He thought it was on the corner. Jerry Dale, the umpire, said, no, it's outside. Boy, Blue is really hot. Here it is. Is it outside or isn't it? Too close. Too close. Oh, Jerry Dale, you called it a ball. You saw Vida jump. Out comes Robinson. He's going to calm Vida down. and also go over what they're going to do in case Raines goes to second. Do you just let him go into second? Do you cut him off? He's asking Milt May right now, do you think it was a strike? Milt says, I don't know, it was close.
Steve Boros has a clock in his right hand. See it? I hope you can see it. Maybe you can't right now, but he carries a little stopwatch in the right hand. It's probably tucked behind the belt right now, and he clocks every pitch that the pitcher throws for speed. Now, they've got this thing figured out scientifically on how long it takes the pitcher to make his move to the plate, how long it takes the catcher to throw to second. And Timmy Raines can go from first to second in 3.2. And Charlie Metro, the Dodgers scout who is here, says there is nobody. If Raines gets a proper break, there's no pitcher or catcher is going to throw this. They're not going to keep this guy from stealing second. They just can't do it.
He said the fastest combination Charlie ever clocked was Munson and Fritz Peterson, and they were clocked at 3.3. So therefore, Raines could even beat them.
All right, the decision has been made about the runner at first. Vida Blue with a 2-1 lead. Has two down, will face Scott. Rodney, a switch hitter, has walked and grounded out. Ball one.
Now they know right now whether or not they're going to throw through, whether or not they're going to take a chance on throwing through it and try to get Tim at second, or whether or not it's just a half throw and Vito cut it off, try to catch White going back to third, or whether there's no throw at all.
Runner going.
There he goes. It's a throw to third.
And it almost went into left field. And that's what Tim Raines does to the opposition. The Giants put a play on, and May almost threw the ball away, and that would have scored 2 runs.
You hit it right on the head, Merle. Exactly. They just, watch, everybody shook up on this. He knows he's going to third. He comes up over the right-handed batter, and White was out back with ease. There he is. He's back there with plenty of time to spare. And it was a nice play by Darrell Evans to stop that ball. And Tim could have scored from first as fast as he is.
So it's a ball and a strike. Giants lead 2-1. Scott, 1-1 pitch. Strike 2. Raines with 2 stolen bases today. Has 28 for the season. 28 in 25 games, this being the 25th game. He's only 21 years old. A little bit low and away. Ball 2 and strike 2, and I think Vida wanted that one also.
Vida's pressing. He wants everything right now.
Rodney Scott hitting but 179 coming into the ball game, but he is a fixture here. He's part of the go-go front end of that lineup. Joe Morgan, the old pro, and the inning is over. So Vida Blue gets out of it, giving up a double and a walk and a stolen base, but no more. At the end of 5, it's the San Francisco Giants 2, the Montreal Expos 1.
Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek. There's your score in the bottom of the 5th. Reds 6, Astros 2, but Cincinnati is threatening. They have runners on first and third with 1 out. Berenyi is the pitcher. Here's how it happens. Nolan, on a 2-ball, 1-strike pitch, grounds this ball to Dickie Thon. It was not in time. He was on. Throw over to first base. Knight is the runner at first base. Nolan is at third. After Nolan's infield hit, Knight drilled this ball and hit the third base bag. So that put runners on first and second right now. Berenyi to Cedeno. Nolan's going to try and score. He does. So Berenyi with the sacrifice fly in center field. No time at bat. Berenyi really fought Bobby Sprowl, the relief pitcher, off. Took up the 3 and 2. There's Knight at first base. So the score is Reds 7, Astros 2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Sprowl at one time a product of the Boston Red Sox. Came over here, a deal for Bob Watson. Watson, of course, now is with the Yankees. So it's Dave Collins. Walked, struck out, and grounded out. 2 down. Chopper. Reynolds goes to Heap. They retire the side. But the Reds come up with another run. And a couple of hits, infield hits. We'll go to the 6th here in Cincinnati. It will be Cincinnati Reds leading over the Houston Astros 7-2.
10 tough, mean beards versus one Bic shaver. Can one Bic shave them all?
Bic, say your prayers. My beard's gonna send this Bic to the showers.
That Bic is gonna beg for mercy.
It's amazing. It looks like one Bic shaver is going to shave these 10 tough beards.
Looks like Bic wins. I got a great shave also.
No way. Let me see the replay. Yes, one Bic shaved these 10 tough beards. How many shaves can you get?
Next Saturday on our game of the week, the Reds against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Some of you will see George Brett, defending American League champion Kansas City Royals, against the Red Sox. Red Sox with 2 home runs in the ball game today. They lead 9-2. Rice has a home run. And Evans. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's next Saturday, 2 Eastern Daylight Time here on NBC Sports. Don't forget to tune in at 2 for Bryant Gumble's show, where I'm certain he will touch once again as that strike deadline of May 29th midnight. It's 1 week closer and a lot of controversy. At least they're starting to talk a little bit. Cruz, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'm almost going to retract, Tony. I've been very optimistic that there would not be a strike. If I had to vote today, I would say there would be a strike.
Berenyi, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cruz fouled this out of play. Well, it's interesting to me, and I'm sure it's got to be disappointing to Bud Selig, the principal owner of the Brewers, and Harry Dalton. I mean, 2 really class guys from really a pretty class organization, to say the least, to have a $50,000 fine slapped on the organization and Dalton for a reasonable statement. Off Berenyi's glove, Oster almost draws Bench off the bag. He did. Either drew him off the bag or Cruz with his speed just beat it out.
Base hit.
Scored a base hit, so Cruz is on. Oster.
Just pulled him off the bag, and it's ball players have never changed. In my day, the day before me, even today, they can have a bad leg, but as soon as there's a base hit inside, it's like they made a side trip to Lourdes, and there's a miracle.
All right, now it's Danny Heap with a runner on first base, and the Astros trailing by 5. Now, why would that be a hit where if he makes a good throw, the runner's out, obviously? It's got to be an error. An Oster for drawing Bench off the bag.
You're going to give an infielder an error?
And he's a former shortstop, too.
Yeah.
1 ball, no strikes to Heap. Line drive, Concepcion gets a piece of it, but not enough. So the Astros have something going with nobody out. They have 2 men on.
The Astros have been hitting the ball hard. Now, they had a chance last inning. A double play took them out of it when Berenyi got behind. They've got the first 2 runners on here. I'll tell you, a couple base hits, a bloop. Now, watch this. This ball is hit hard. Concepcion thought he had a chance to make the play. Did nick it a little bit, but it's a base hit.
That's the kind of play right there that Robin Yount hurt his leg down. The Brewers having so much trouble with injuries. Molitor out, as Bryant mentioned, but Yount came down and jabbed his knee and was going for an examination this morning to see how serious it was. So, nobody out. 2 men on. Art Howe. There we go. Takes ball 1 from Berenyi, and that bullpen starts again for Cincinnati.
That's the kind of ball that Frank Howard hit that you jumped for. It almost hit Mantle on the way back in the World Series.
Off 84. Landed about 450 feet away. 1 ball, 1 strike with a breaking ball. There is Paul Moscow. He was up last inning throwing for Cincinnati. Howe with that base hit in the 4th. Now he's hitting 9 straight games. Hitting almost 500 over that stretch. Tried to go to right field. He fouls it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cruz at second. Heaps at first for the Astros. No outs. Bruce Berenyi. He really jammed him. Is it going to be infield fly? Yes, it was called. Second and third base umpires raised the arm. Batter was automatically out. There's Ed Fargo at third base. On occasion, we explain the infield fly rule, where with runners on first and second or first, second and third with less than 2 out. In the judgment of the umpire, an infielder, and it could be an outfielder, catches the ball on the edge of the infield. Batter's out, but if the ball drops, the runners can run at their own risk. They can't advance. So there's 1 out, 2 men on. Ashby, the hitter. Foul out of play. The Astros with 2 runs, 6 hits. They've committed 2 errors. The Reds 7 runs, 9 hits and no errors. Ashby is one of those guys who it seems like on odd-numbered years he begins switching and hitting again. Up at Toronto, he switched it 1 year, went just to right-handed 1 year. He's back to switch hitting this year. I don't think he switched it most of last year till right at the end. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Pretty good speed on the bases for Houston. Cruz and Heap. Good sinker, 2-1.
I think this game is pretty typical as we look at the base runners. Cruz at second and Heap at first. This Houston ball club, they get the base runners, but they need 2 base hits, a hurricane, a foul ball, allowed. They just have trouble scoring runs.
Well, their pitching has carried them on this road trip where they've won a lot of ball games because their hitters have scored a little over 3 runs per ball game. Foul out of play. Count goes 2-2 on Ashby.
They need that one big guy to come in, one swing of the bat as we look at Cincinnati. They're leading by 5. One swing of the bat puts you right in the ball game. It's 7-2, but you know it's nits and nats time. They're just
There's the man, Bill Verdon, manager of the year last year. Boy, he had to do a lot of juggling of his lineups. Ground ball could be 2. Concepcion, Oster. They get Ashby, so Berenyi throws the sinker when he needs it to pitch out of the inning with 2 men on. We go to the bottom of the 6th here in Cincinnati with a score of the Reds 7, the Astros 2, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
There's this argument in football about who's smarter, the offense or defense.
Defense had to be smarter to react to flip-flops and flea flickers. Then we drink the best tasting beer, light beer from Miller.
We drink light, too. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer, and it's less filling. But we had to be smarter to react to the Red Dogs and closing time.
Okay, Billy. The flanker does it down and out, the weak side linebacker blitzes. What's the nose guard do, huh? Huh?
I don't know.
Defense rests.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
We're back in Cincinnati, and let's take a look at the Western Division standings with the Dodgers on the strength of Fernando Valenzuela's arm. And Bert Hooten and Kenny Landreau acquired. Center field is off to a hot start. They were searching for that center fielder. Los Angeles started poorly last year. Houston got out of the blocks in a hurry. A little bit of a change this year. You wonder with Houston, with the injuries to the men on their speed and losing some players, even with such a great pitching staff, they can come back.
Tony, they're 12-15, and on this road trip, the last 10 games, they're 7-3. And just to reiterate what you said about the pitching, I think the big difference here is that you just can't score runs. The grubworms don't sleep when these guys bat. They're hitting a lot of ground balls.
Ken Griffey, Concepcion, Foster against Bobby Sprowl, who relieved Joaquin Andujar. 1 ball, 1 strike. He fooled him. Griffey way out in front, lofts a fly ball to center. Cedeno has it 1 down. And I've really got to believe, Joe, that part of that is what we talked about earlier. You mentioned the big bat they'd like to have in the middle of their lineup, that who can hit a home run and win a ball game or get you out ahead in a hurry. But they were able last year to do it with that base-stealing speed and forcing mistakes. And that is gone. Not completely gone. Some say, and it was a controversial deal when Morgan left and Cabell, who were both popular players and team leaders, that the leadership of Morgan, it was so important, is going to hurt this ball club. Verdon doesn't believe it. He said, I'm the leader here in his quiet way.
Well, there weren't that many stolen bases between Cabell and Morgan. It's got to be an attitude thing. I mean, a philosophy kind of thing. Are they running more? I mean, that first run they scored is a typical Houston run. A double by Puel, a sacrifice, and then a ground ball, and you got 1 run in.
2 balls, no strikes to Concepcion. He has scored a run, driven home a run. Mel right on the left. Bill Verdon in the center. Two balls and a strike. We're in the 6th. There's George Foster, who has a double and a couple of RBIs and later scored. 2 Hopper to Reynolds. 2 outs.
Let me ask you something about that leadership thing. Who do you think is the leader on the Dodgers now with that big lead?
I'll tell you what, there's only one leader on any team as far as I'm concerned. It's the managers.
Right.
Now, they can talk about leadership on the field and having a veteran out there to help out, and it helps to a degree. But if the man who's got the MGR sign on his door can't control his players and his coaches, I don't care who you got on the field.
That's right.
Not going to work.
Better have those horses that can play. You give me players and you can have leaders. Leaders are good for the band.
2 outs, George Foster. Reds lead 7-2. 1 ball from Sprowl.
And you never hear a young player say he's a leader. It's always a guy just hanging on. It gives you those intangibles. That's what made me a broadcaster. I had intangibles.
George Foster. Look at the home runs and RBIs. When he is healthy, he will hit.
That's leading. He's a leader.
And last year, they say he had a poor year. He was hurt off and on all year, and he had 25 home runs, 90-plus RBIs. That's an off year because he was injured. This year he is healthy, and they say he will hit when he's healthy. Look out. Base hit right field by Foster. Well, the Reds have now had a hit in each of the 6 innings of this ball game. Foster 2 for 4 in the ball game. It'll bring up Bench. Yeah, Tommy Lasorda, whom we both admire, is a leader because Valenzuela, he hadn't come out of nowhere exactly because he pitched 18 scoreless innings at the end of last year. But he has become a starter, and look what he's done. 5 shutouts. Throw Hooten aside from that. Make you a good leader in a hurry.
Now, I think the catcher, a guy like Bench, behind the plate with young pitching can give an added influence.
Deep to left field, he hung a breaking ball. Johnny Bench has just tied Yogi Berra, the all-time home run list.
Bench getting a standing ovation. And there was some controversy as to how often Johnny Bench would play. We asked Dick Wagner, the general manager of the Cincinnati Ball Club, about this.
Well, yes, I don't think there's a controversy as such. John asked to catch 2 days a week last August, and we agreed to that. He wanted to play X number of games in another position, and we couldn't agree to that and tie John McNamara's hands. And I think thus far it's been all right. We've had an injury to Danny Dreesen, and John's had a chance to play at first base 3 or 4 games, and I've felt all along that this will work itself out. But the only person that can really answer the whole thing is John Bench.
Well, Joe Nolan grounded out as the president was talking. The score is now Reds 9, Astros 2, as we saw Johnny Bench with a 2-run home run. Tie Yogi Berra, the all-time home run list, 29. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station as we look at that score and Johnny Bench.
Sunday on Disney, a bungling ensign and some wacky crooks set sail in The Boatniks. Then on Chips, a mysterious accident leads Ponch and John to a close encounter on NBC.
Personal Computers, Saturday at 6 on Q.
Here's the swing and the home run that ties Johnny Bench with Yogi Berra for 29th on the all-time home run list at 358. He stayed right with it. A home run for Johnny Bench. It was kind of interesting listening to Dick Wagner talking about Bench and the Bench situation when he said he wanted to play other positions, but we couldn't agree to that to tie John McNamara's hands. Concepcion, one hand, going to be closed, pulls him off the bag, he's safe. So let's see how they rule that.
Got
It
to
is
be
an error.
E6, doesn't it?
E6.
You know, how many of those plays have we seen so far today? Pulling first baseman off the bag. It's about the 4th or 5th time.
And might add that here's Houston again with base runners on. Berenyi doesn't know if he's pitching with 2 infields. He's had so many base runners on. But the score, 9-2, Cincinnati out in front. Dave Roberts has come out of the Houston dugout. Looks like he's going to be the pinch hitter here for Sprowl.
He's the man who has been somewhat of a utility player most of his career. Can catch, play first, plays third. In fact, he even played some shortstop in a pinch in the major leagues. I think it was for Jack McKeon, wasn't it? He got a nice contract, the strength of his versatility.
I'll tell you, name me a player who hasn't gotten a nice contract.
Fernando Valenzuela making about $50,000. People are rolling in the turnstiles to see him. Think he's going to get a raise next year?
Here's a bouncing ball to Concepcion. 1-2 double play, pitcher's best friend.
You can see Dickie Thon coming to the bag very hard. The slide, but not in time. I'll tell you one thing, Berenyi has thrown the sinker when he's had to. He's gotten the ground ball, which shows a sign that he is a pretty sound-headed guy, knows a little bit about pitching and keeping the ball down. I have a theory about why guys come in a little bit harder in the second base than they used to. An artificial surface, a lot of infielders wear the rubber cleats, or in the days of spikes. Guys wouldn't do that. They're afraid of getting their hands stepped on, their head stepped on.
Draw a little blood with the spikes. Right now, it's just a little bruise. That was a third double play turned over by the Cincinnati infield. He boots the ball, and Perry Puel is on. Second error in this inning. Right at him, no reason not to catch it. He just missed it.
Just handcuffed him, didn't it? Ball rolled and hit him on the heel of the glove.
May have hit him on the hand. Larry Starr, the trainer's coming out. You can see him shaking it right there. He may have jammed it. John McNamara coming out of the dugout along with Larry Starr.
You gotta believe after it hit the heel of his glove, it may have popped up and hit him on the thumb and jammed it. Larry Starr, the trainer, a marathon runner. The heel of the glove, and then I believe it hit the thumb on his throwing hand, which is where the problem is coming in.
Here's the final score. Boston 10 and Toronto 3. Stanley the winner. Clancy was the loser. Home runs Rice and Evans. And you'll be seeing Boston and Kansas City in one of our games next week. Those Red Sox with 13 base hits. Cleveland nothing. Minnesota nothing at the end of 7. Milwaukee's at Oakland, the later start. Kansas City is Chicago. Baltimore at Texas. Detroit at California. The Yankees at Seattle all tonight. And we've been keeping you up to date on that Montreal-San Francisco game. It's the Giants 2 and Montreal 1. It's at the end of 6. Mets 4. Dodgers 2 end of 6. Everybody else tonight. So Poole is on at first. Here is Craig Reynolds. Astros have had the runners. Line drive, right field, well hit, base hit. Poole heads for third. He's digging hard. Going to second is Reynolds, and safe.
I'll tell you what, that was close to a mistake by Reynolds. Because when you're down by 7 runs, you're not going to take a whole lot of chances. Ball handcuffs Collins. He started to try to make the shoestring catch, but the ball kept sinking. Luckily, he got a piece of it with his shoulder. Reynolds takes a chance and gets away with it.
Jerry Crawford, the umpire at second base, waiting until the play was completed. And here is Cedeno once again. Houston. They started this inning. Vaughn was safe on an error. Roberts hit into a double play. Now they have base runners at second and third. Cedeno with a chance of knocking a few. It's 9-2. Cincinnati out in front. We're in the 7th inning. Our 7th inning stretch is coming up. Strike 1. Bill Terry, with 401 year, managed the Giants. Living in Jacksonville, Florida. One strike to count on Cedeno. One ball and 1 strike. Poole's at third. Reynolds is at second. Foul tip. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
When you watch Berenyi pitch, he took a little bit off the breaking ball. He's basically a power pitcher, but Joe, I got to believe when he gets a little more finesse and can throw that third pitch over the plate, whether it's a straight change or change up on his breaking ball, he's going to be an exceptional pitcher. Because he's kept the fastball down with movement. He's got a hard slider.
He goes for the strikeout, and he gets it. His third strikeout of the ball game. That ends the 7th inning. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Score here: Cincinnati 9, Houston 2. And here's another installment of our 7th inning stretch.
Old Spice presents the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Old Spice Stick Deodorant, the deodorant that works overtime.
Bill Terry was never a flashy player. He performed instead with a gutsy workaday brilliance. As first baseman of the New York Giants, Bill had an astounding season in 1930, wrapping a league record 254 base hits, batting .401 and being acclaimed MVP. Bill was always strong-willed, and he often battled publicly with manager John McGraw. But when McGraw retired, Bill became player-manager, and he drove the Giants to pennants in 1933 and 36. A knee injury forced Bill out of the lineup when he was 35, but he still managed the Giants into another World Series. Whether he played or whether he managed, Bill Terry offered no false hustle, no excuses, and no compromise.
You're looking at the new second baseman for the Astros, Rafael Landistoi. And the new pitcher is Frank LaCourte. Satch Davidson motioning up how they're batting.
Well, also, Dickie Thon has moved from second base to shortstop. Reynolds is out of the game, so the number 2 hitter, I believe, will be the pitcher, so he can stay in the ball game a little longer.
Ray Knight hits the first pitch to straightaway center field, and there's one away.
So scratch Reynolds from your lineup if you're keeping score. Move Thon to short, put Landistoi at second, and LaCourte is your pitcher.
Satch Davidson going through all kinds of gyrations, motioning that to the press box. I referred to it earlier, Tony, just to complete a thought about our friend Bill Kunkley, American League umpire, who pulled a ruler during the World Series. I notice he has a new one now, a knife. He carries a knife. And there is a strike, and the reason for that is to check the bats to see if there's any cork in them. That's how Carew and Kunkel got into a rhubarb. So the job of the umpire, ever increasingly tougher.
A little showmanship on Kunkel's part, as last year in the World Series we whipped out the tape measure.
I don't blame him. 1 ball and 1 strike. He didn't get a commercial out of it. 2 balls and 1 strike. There's Satch Davidson behind the plate. Outside, Frank LaCourte. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Score, Cincinnati 9, Houston 2. There's the strike. We're going to have some fireworks in our game next week. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Should be a lot of scoring. And up at Fenway Park, they're always scoring up there. It'll be Kansas City and the Red Sox. So you check your local listings for the game in your area. Left field. Cruz drifting back. Should make the play. Kind of misjudged it for a moment.
Yeah, when you talk about what's happening in the National League with Valenzuela and the kid Raines that we've seen when we switched up there to Harmon around Luciano. Here's Cruz going back. He was playing shallow for Oster. You almost forget Pete Rose is 3rd in the league behind Raines and Collins, and he is getting closer all the time after his fast start to that Musial record for hits for a National Leaguer.
It's amazing.
Cobb leads it, and then Henry Aaron is second.
Rose is hitting .364, Madlock .358, Easler .348, so we're going to have plenty of hitting next week. Nine to 2 the score, bottom of the 7th. Frank LaCourte in relief. Andujar started for Houston. Berenyi, the batter, still in there for Cincinnati. There are the stands. Howe may have room. He will. Makes the play. So that ends the inning. We complete 7 innings of baseball here. The score, Cincinnati 9, Houston 2.
UCLA becomes the battleground for the high hurdles as Ronaldo Nehemiah and rival Greg Foster square off. Then rubber burns and engines roar in the NHRA World Finals of drag racing, plus the AIAW Women's Collegiate Swimming Championships tomorrow.
The Cincinnati fans, I think they're happy. They're looking for the camera. They lead by 7. 9-2 is the score as Cruz hits the first pitch and pops it up, and Ray Knight says, "I'll take it." Concepcion says, "No, I'll take it." He's laughing about it, and I'm sure he'll walk over tonight and say, "Hey, McNamara wants the Sherman to take it." Sports World tomorrow. Track and field. UCLA track and field. That'll be live. You'll see Ronaldo Nehemiah, Ian Coughlin, Stanley Floyd, James Sanford. That ought to be a pretty good showdown in 100 meters. Outside, ball 1. Then there'll be the funny cars. They'll be blasting down the strip in the NHRA World Drag Race Finals. And then we got the AIAW National Women's Collegiate Swimming Championships. 4 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. Sports World.
So I was thinking of the sneaky shortstop Concepcion when he took control and waved Knight off. I thought it was a great story about that sneaky catcher. Was it in Arizona?
Yeah.
A funny
that
story?
was great.
High school?
Tell it.
Catcher with a runner at third base. Had a potato. The pitcher threw the ball, and the guy grabbed the potato, threw it over the third baseman's head. The runner tried to score. He tagged him out. Left fielder got the potato and ate it, tried to destroy the evidence. You guys.
One out, Danny Heath. You got to like that kind of ingenuity. In that San Francisco Giant-Montreal game, Philly North has just hit a grand slam home run, and the Giants are leading 6-1 over the Montreal Expos. As we look at Art Howe.
Tough for a team like Houston to come back from a deficit this big late in the ball game because they don't put the big innings together.
You know what's been disheartening? They've had base runners on, but every time they put them on, double plays. Double play in the 5th, double play in the 6th, and double play in the 7th.
Even with the double plays, they've left 7 on base. Ashby on deck.
2 balls and no strikes. 3 balls and no strikes. It has not been the kind of a game that you would tape and play back for the little leaguers and say, here's how you play the game. There's the strike. Pitch has been wild at Alphonse Gaston around second base. Who's going to cover?
Berenyi has made the pitch when he's had to, though, hasn't he? He's gotten the double play ball. You got to give him credit. He's had the sinker down when he's had to.
Ray Knight, a big hop. Time. So it's 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. We go to the bottom half of the 8th inning, and it's Collins, Griffin, Concepcion. Score 9-2 Cincinnati over Houston.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek here at Riverfront Stadium, where the Cincinnati Reds go into the bottom half of the 8th, leading by 7. 9-2 is the score. Dave Collins leads it off. He scored a run in the first inning after he walked. Strike 1. Walked in the first, struck out in the second, hit into a force play in the 3rd, bounced out in the 5th. LaCourte in relief. Houston bullpen getting busy. play. Los Angeles 4. And the Mets 4. There's Joe Sambito loosening up for Houston. Lopes had a home run. Guerrero hit one in the 4th, and Guerrero hit one in the 8th.
Sambito, the late inning stopper for this ball club, but the starting pitching right from yesterday and today has been going so well for Houston. I got to believe that Verdon wants to give some of these guys a little work to prevent them from getting rusty.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Billy North, the grand slam. They scored 4 in the 7th. So it's San Francisco 6 and Montreal 1 in the bottom of the 7th. Cleveland picked up a run in the 8th. They lead Minnesota 1-0. Bottom of the 8th. And the Red Sox defeated Toronto 10-3. Tell you, without a whole lot of fanfare, those Cleveland Indians, they're leading the American League East 11-7. Well, they're tied actually with the Yankees, but in percentage they're leading. 6-11 is the percentage clip that they're playing at. Outside.
With guys like Hargrove and Hara who can get on base, and Andre Thornton's back this year, driving some runs for you.
Dave Garcia has done a good job. Off the handle, shallow left field, but Cruz is there, and Collins is out. 1 out.
I like Dave Garcia's comments when during the offseason with their caravan, somebody asked him where they're going to finish and how many games they're going to win. He said, we're going to win 172. I said, what? He said, oh, yeah, all these agents, you listen to them. He said, I got 5 20-game winners. He said, I added it all up. We got 172 wins in our belt before the season starts. He is loose, and he's got a loose team, and they're playing well.
Griffey, ball 1. I went to a banquet in Youngstown, Ohio. Dave was there. He's funny on a banquet circuit. St. Louis man. 2 balls, no strikes. Great family of soccer players. In fact, I kid him about his name. One of the great stars in St. Louis at that time was a guy named Art Garcia. Dave goes by Garcia. 3 balls, no strikes. Bill Verdon.
If he doesn't get pitching, he knows his team is in trouble. He hasn't had pitching today. Or you can turn it around and say Bench and Foster have begun to hit.
And there's Foster. Griffey draws the base on balls. Concepcion will be the batter. Concepcion scored in the 1st inning, drove in a run with a single in the 2nd, fly to center, and bounced out short to 1st. It is low, ball 1. A strike, a curveball. LaCourte evens it up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Nine to 2, Cincinnati out in front. Foul back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 man out. Way outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Crowd just kind of sitting back. Foul ball.
Got to be a white towel tonight. Yeah, they're losing by 7. Maybe they won't.
No, there's not much laughing and telling jokes when you're trailing by 7.
Don Leppard sitting there just a moment ago, and Leppard's son, Steve, a second baseman of the Reds organization. I'll a pretty good start, too. He was up over 300. Talked to Don. It was about a week or so ago.
3 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Will Griffey be running? You would have to say yes. Even though they have that big lead, stay away from the double play. He's holding this time, and down the right field line, it is a foul ball. Just curve foul.
You think that's one of those situations for a guy like McNamara, who has seen days like this, shows a little respect for Verdon by not starting a runner up by 7 runs?
I'm not so sure.
Of course, he's got a little bit of an injury to his knee also, Griffey.
May just be protecting him. Concepcion broke his bat. Nope, just wants the pine tar. Got that extra knob we pointed out before, which is a guideline. See it down below there? Working on it right now.
That has helped some hitters. I know Bobby Dorr, the hitting instructor for the Toronto Blue Jays, had Alfredo Griffin do that, and he started to hit the ball a little bit more firmly in spring training. He had an excellent spring.
Walked him. Second walk of the inning given up by Lacorte, so that puts base runners at first and second. And here's George Foster. Foster hit a double in the first inning, drive in 2, fly to left, hit to a force play, and then singled and scored in the 6th. George Foster, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. Doesn't get it, strike 1. Powerful man. Strike 2, caught the outside corner. Griffey at second. Concepcion at first. Pitches, he got him. So how do you figure that? Walks Griffey, walks Concepcion, and on 3 pitches strikes out Foster. Here's Johnny Bench. He should get a good hand. Bench hit a 2-run homer his last time up. He had a single in the first inning, so he's 2 for 4. And home run, 29th in the all-time list, and there it was. Right at the shortstop, Dickie Thon. That ends the 8th inning. We complete 8 innings of baseball here. The score, Cincinnati 9, Houston 2.
You know, one of the best things about coming to America was that I got to try American beers, and I tried them all. The one I like best, light beer from Miller. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. It's less filling, and it really tastes great. That's why I tell my friends from Mexico, when you come to America, drink light beer, but don't drink the water.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Next Saturday, the National League's leading slugger, Dave Collins, sparks the Cincinnati Reds against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Plus, George Brett and the KC Royals take on the Boston Red Sox.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek here at Riverfront Stadium. We go to the top of the 9th inning. Alan Ashby leads it off. Reds 9, Astros 2. We have to pick our player of the game, our star of the game here. And first pitch is inside. We've got another split vote coming up.
Well, I'm looking at Berenyi. Even though he has had some rough innings, he's thrown the double play ball when he's needed it.
Base hit, another base runner.
So that may change if he doesn't finish the ball game.
My choice is Foster because after Collins, well, Collins walked and Griffey walked in a force play. Foster hit the double that gave the Cincinnati club the lead. He got another run scored and a single in the 6th. So my vote is for the star of the game is George Foster. Tony is Berenyi, so our statistician, Mr. Steve Dance, will have to be the tiebreaker. And he qualifies it as we look at Dickie Thon.
Now, I might change if Berenyi does not finish this ball game.
Well, with all the authority of a definite maybe, our statistician says Berenyi, depending on the 9th inning. 2 balls and no strikes. It has not been a classic pitching job by Berenyi. But he's hung in there, and he's gotten a double play. He threw the pitch that forced the ground ball. Outside, 3-0. Johnny Bench walking in, just saying, get the ball over. You got 7-run lead.
Cincinnati bullpen is throwing again. Moscow was up earlier a couple of times. Now it is Hume, the right-hander, and Price, the left-hander. Joe Price and Tom Hume. Strike.
3-1. Nobody out. He walked him. Base runners again.
Berenyi is 2 wins, 1 loss on this season. He's had 1 complete ball game.
Bill Fisher looking down. He wants to know if Hume is ready. Motion to him. Nolan was out talking to try to buy some time, and Berenyi, there you see Hume, the right-hander, Price, the left-hander, and Berenyi now pitching against Landeskog. He's about 1 hitter away from being taken out of the game.
Berenyi's complete game came against San Diego, a 2-hit shutout.
There's the strike.
Berenyi's thrown a lot of pitches. A big guy, but this many pitches will take its toll on you.
2 strikes. Just kind of glancing, and this is certainly unofficial with so much going on. There have been about 14 or 15 base runners for the Houston Astros. I know every time Berenyi's looked around, he's pitched off the stretch. But the main thing is he's kept them from crossing home plate. Landeskog takes it low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ashby's at second base. Dickie Thon is at first base. Line foul, look out.
You know, the thing about Berenyi, Joe, I think that does help a little bit, even though he's basically a power pitcher. When he's wild low, and you've got a chance with men on base because you get a hitter up there if the ball's sinking down low in the strike zone. If he does hit the ball, he's going to hit it on the ground in most cases. So if there is an advantage of being wild low, that may be it.
Misses. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the 9th inning. Cincinnati 9, Houston 2. Astros with base runners on again. Time call. This is a kind of a ball game for the losing manager that when he goes to bed tonight, he doesn't count sheep. He counts men left on base. And there's Verdon. That's out of play.
I think the Verdon story is an interesting one. When he managed Pittsburgh, the general manager then Joe Brown, when he brought Murtaugh back, said it's the toughest decision he'd ever had to make because he had the fire bill, and he did a good job with the Yankees also. Billy Martin became available, and George Steinbrenner wanted him. Manager's always on the hot seat, isn't he?
And he does it with a quiet, strong way.
He is quiet, but there are times when, Rich Hebner spoke up one time in Pittsburgh, and Bill took off his glass and said, "You want to fight? Let's fight." Gained the respect of a few players.
Well, he doesn't lack for emotion. low ball. It's like Bud Grant of the Vikings, you know. They say doesn't have any emotion. I think I'd like to have Bud Grant on my side.
Walt Alston, very quietly.
3-2's the count here. Landeskog, nobody out. Left center field. George Foster says, I'll take it. And a real rarity, a two-handed catch.
You may have heard another bat shatter. Hear it all the way up here.
Andre Dawson has just hit his 6th home run, nobody on. Terry Poole, 1 for 3 today. He walked in the 5th. He doubled, opened up the ball game, scored the first run of the game. One man out. Ashby at second. Thon at first. Strike one.
Yeah, looking at the standings of the 4 divisions, Joe, and we've heard so much about the Dodgers' fast start. Montreal just now on a 4-game winning streak. And we mentioned Oakland all today, 23 wins, 6 losses with their Billy Ball.
Oh, they're amazing.
And Texas has won 4 in a row. They're hanging tough. They're just 6 big games behind, even though Oakland's been so hot all year.
Tell you, that Armas, that was some trade they made. As we look at Ashby and Bond, the base runners.
Is that a Jack McKeon deal where he got Langford, Armas,
Mitchell Page?
Uh-huh.
Under the Charlie Finley banner. Billy has really done a job. Excitement in the whole Bay Area. Deep to right field. Collins has room. Ashby is halfway. He'll go back to second. So there are 2 outs. Ashby had some ideas about tagging up, and then he was halfway, and he thought, oh, well, what's the use? We're down by 7. I'll play it safe. He's on at second. Thon is still on at first. 2 men out.
It's a play you have only one thing to do, no matter what the score, though, and that's tag up and get to third base. Mike Ivy going to be the hitter.
Mike Ivy will be the batter. LaCourty was batting in the 2nd spot, as Tony told you, replacing Reynolds. So here's Ivy.
This guy is a good player. He's a good hitter. He has a good glove. He had his personal problems over the last couple of years.
High fly ball, right field line near the stands, and nobody will get this one. Strike one.
Ivy has dropped about 12, 15 pounds off last year. Not this past offseason, the one before that. He was in a hunting accident. He severely cut his hand or wrist.
Ivy came over for Jeff Leonard and Dave Bergman. Leonard is now playing in Phoenix for Rocky Bridges. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's your neck of the woods. You ever see The Rock? He is a legend.
I got to go down and see him. One of my favorite guys, Rocky Bridges. Talk about good guys. They always talk about the 350 hitters. Rocky was a good guy and hit 210. There's a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Berenyi. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Ivy.
I think Berenyi hasn't kept McNamara on the edge of his seat. There must be 3 or 4 times in this ball game where I'm sure Mac has said 1 more hitter and he's out of there, and Berenyi just pitches out of it.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Always think about Aaron Robinson, the Yankee catcher, when it be catching a game like this. He'd call these guys near beer pitchers. 3-2 on everybody. 3-2. He'd really moan.
Give you an idea with all the pitches he's thrown that he is still very strong. He's a strong kid. He's still throwing pretty hard.
Right center field. Collins going back near the wall and cannot get it. 1 run is in. Here comes Thon. He'll try to score. He will, and Ivy has a double. It's 9-4.
Collins ran the ball down, and when he hit the warning track, he looked like he pulled his glove down. It would have been a tough catch, but he thought he was closer to the wall. Remember, he played center field most of last year. He's been moved to right. Had a long way to go, but he shied away from the wall. The ball may have been catchable. Keeps Berenyi in hot water.
So it's 9-4, and here is Cedeno. Cedeno drove in a run. Here's a look at the play again.
It's one of those that is not good for a pitcher's ERA. Could have gotten out of this ball game with just 2 runs allowed.
Remember last week when we had Berenyi, he had didn't get too much help in the outfield. Strike one. Cedeno drove in a run by bouncing out to short, bounced to short in the third, bounced out to first, and then struck out.
And McNamara realized that was a catchable ball, which may have been the reason he's leaving Berenyi in, even though he's got 2 men ready in the bullpen.
Right back up the middle, base hit. Here comes Mike Ivy. Cedeno drives in the run. It's now 9-5, and here comes McNamara. He is going to make a move.
He's signaling already for the left-hander, Joe, with 2's up and then heat 2 left-handers. He's asking for Joe Price.
He stayed with him as long as he could. We've got a break in the action here, and so we'll be right back after these messages.
Everyone loves RVs. Pee-wees love RVs. Joaquin loves RVs.
Pee-wees love RVs.
You and I love roast beef at Arby's. American roast beef, yes sir.
Lean, trim, delicious roast beef with some of the best toppings in the USA.
You FOs love Arby's. Slide in and get it. Arby's, America's roast beef, yes sir.
You're looking at George Foster as Jose Cruz takes the first pitch outside from Joe Price. And this week's NBC Miller High Life Player of the Game is George Foster. And Miller High Life is happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Foster to the Special Olympics.
My heart and head were split on that vote. I thought Berenyi, if Collins catches the ball, might have finished, and then I finished the ball, and then I would have voted for him.
Okay.
Joe Price.
Price, bench has it, races to the bag, that's it. And Cincinnati, with relief help from Price and Berenyi, they defeat the Houston Astros by the score of 9-5. It was 9 runs, 11 hits, and 2 errors for Cincinnati. 5 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors for Houston. The winner is Berenyi. He came within an out of a complete game. His record is now 3-1. Andujar is the losing pitcher. His record is now 1-2. And the game-winning RBI was by George Foster. Johnny Bench had himself a big day. Had a historic home run, which put him on the all-time list, tied with Yogi Berra at 358. 9-5, Cincinnati wins it. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, you!
Who, me?
Take my picture.
Me?
Here, use my Panasonic video camera and portable VHS recorder.
Reggie, I don't know how.
It's easy. All the controls can be attached to the camera, so you can take pictures. Smile. And with Panasonic, you get instant replay right through the camera, so you know you've got the shot. Take my picture. I got it, I got it.
I got it.
Get the fun of outdoors indoors with Panasonic Omnivision.
Reggie Vision.
Well, the Cincinnati Reds make it 2 in a row over the Houston Astros as they defeat them this afternoon by the score of 9-5. 9-11-2 for Cincinnati. 5-10-2 for the Houston Astros. The loser was Andujar. The winner was Berenyi. Johnny Bench, historic home run. 29th on the all-time list, tied with Yogi Berra at 358. So from Riverfront Stadium, for Tony Kubek, Joe Garagiola saying so long as Cincinnati defeats Houston 9-5. NBC's Baseball Game of the Week has been brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, Brewers of Miller High Life. You've got the time, we've got the beer. And by Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the EXP, America's new personal sports coupe. And by Skin Bracer Aftershave. Skin Bracer takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer by Menon. And by the U.S. Army. The Army, a great place to be all you can be. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer. The coordinating producer of baseball is Michael Weissman. The telecast of today's Game of the Week has been produced by Kenneth Edmondson. Directed by Harry Coyle. Associate Director John Filippelli. Associate Producer Peter Rowe. Next Saturday, it's baseball. The Cincinnati Reds against the Pittsburgh Pirates or Kansas City at Boston. Check your local listings. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, NBC Sports World features the UCLA Invitational Track Meet right here on NBC, the innovative leader in sports television.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. United serves more of this land than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about.